We are live Tuesday, Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Be a part of the show. Subscribe, like, share, listen, download the free mobile app. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Jennings producing today's show. You out there. So, little inside baseball today. I forgot my normal headset. The sound of the show today is so weird in my ear. Like, I can't. I'm using, like, the cheapest headphone ever. I don't like to wear the headphones that go over your head. We have a lot of those in here, but I don't like to wear those. So I found this, like, random one shooter. I don't even know what this is. I don't know where I found it. It's only one. It's not two, which is what I usually wear. I only wear one. But the sound of this is so weird. Very hollow. People always wonder, like, why do you guys wear headsets? Like, what do you need to wear headsets to hear yourself? It is weird, like, the concept that you have to actually hear the audio go into your ear as opposed to not wearing headsets. Like, when you don't wear the headsets, I don't know why it just doesn't feel right. But I do have one in. It is really awkward right now. It sounds terrible in my ear. It sounds terrible in my ear.
You did just say it's the cheapest headset possible.
I don't even know what this is. Look at this thing. It's one.
It's not even that long.
No, it's very short. I had to get an extender just so it reached my ear.
Yeah, you had to use my extender.
But I don't know where I got this thing. This is what it is. It's one thing.
I mean, it looks cheap. It's
just one strand. It's not.
I mean, that probably cost $5.
With the wrong thing.
You went with the wrong
$5. I was thinking this is probably a freebie. It's like it feels like one of the kind you get at the airplane that they give you, but instead of having one for each ear, it only has one for one ear.
Right.
Yeah. But here we are. We're live back. I haven't been in the studio in a while. When was the last time I did a show in the studio? Last Friday?
Two Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago, I did a show in the studio.
We're
back. So we're on the air. We're ready to go. Busy show today. I'm going to play a lot of this Nick Foles audio that we didn't really get a chance. Yesterday was like a reaction day. The text board was jumping, heavy reacting. Today, I want to play some more of this Nick Foles stuff because Foles is the guy that I think Eagle fans will take his opinions and kind of say, either that makes me feel better, makes me feel worse, because they will trust what he says. So we'll play that coming up here in just a couple moments on the Sports Bash. Does he have a new podcast? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's called.
You're up on the podcast stuff.
I am. So it's called the Seasons Podcast. It's with the SZN spelling of season. Because he has, the dad season line. He has all these like clothing and hats now. So it's him and his brother-in-law, Evan Moore, who's a wide receiver, tight end in the NFL for 5 years basically. But apparently it's his brother-in-law, and they were on the Eagles together at the same time. Moore was a tight end on the Eagles at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And so
don't remember him.
Nothing to remember. I think he had 4 catches in his career. But the point is that they have this podcast, and it's actually a very, I've been watching it for the last few weeks. It's actually a very thought-provocative podcast about football.
Okay. So he has a podcast, and the basis of the podcast was breaking down the problems with the Philadelphia Eagles and whether or not they could be fixed, essentially. Like, that is the big thing. Nick Foles looks at the problems. Can he dissect and fix them? So you're going to hear from that coming up. The other thing I want to get into, and you can vote at Mike Gill Show. Vote now at Mike Gill Show. And the poll question today is this. Are you concerned about the NFC East, or is the division secure? Who wins the NFC East, Eagles or Dallas? You can vote at Mike Gill Show. Right now, it's 85-15. That is the percentage breakdown. If you want to go over there and vote, you want to text 609 403-0973, 609-403-0973. Does anybody out there think the NFC East is in peril? And we all know the stat that no one has won the NFC East back-to-back times in 20 years. Does anybody look at that stat and say, I'm a little concerned about the NFC East right now? I will break it down in this fashion. Both teams have 5 games left. They do not play each other again, as we know. The Dallas schedule, okay? Down the stretch they come. At Detroit, tell me how many losses you feel in here. At Detroit, Minnesota, Chargers, at Washington, at New York. They have 5 games.
I say at least 2 losses.
2 for Dallas.
Because I don't know if they're going to win the Detroit game, and I don't know if they're going to win the Chargers game.
No Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I know, but Detroit, they're feisty, they're grimy, they make things
We've
ugly.
been saying that about them, but they keep losing.
Yeah, but Dallas might be too confident at this point.
Okay. Detroit's favored. They're favored by 3. I think Dallas beats them. I think Detroit's cooked. I think they're done. I mean, they lost. They're essentially, right now, in the playoff standings. Unless Dallas has a lot more fortitude than I think they're cooked. Like, I think the last season, them losing, it's one of the reasons why I liked them. The way they lost last year, then bounced back this year, lost that first game, then went on a run, and it was like, look, they could have folded the tent. They lost last year, disappointing. They lost both coordinators. I think they're out of gas. I think the coach keeps going on 4th down. I think they're demoralized. I just think they're done. They are 2 back in the division.
Yes, they are.
They're 2 back in the division, and in the wild card situation for them, it's not great. I mean, Detroit is in a look, they're 1 game out. They're the team, but they're 2 wins behind San Francisco. They're 1 loss. The Green Bay tie is coming into play here. Green Bay has that. Green Bay beat them. Dallas now has, this is interesting because Dallas's tie actually has them ahead of Carolina, even though Carolina beat them head-to-head.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Because Carolina has 6 losses and Dallas only has 5. That tie is the difference. The tie is like a win.
The tie is like a magic elixir.
It is all the time, the tie. Because Carolina beat Dallas head-to-head and has more wins than Dallas does.
Speaking of Carolina won the division one year because they had a losing record, but the tie vaulted them to the lead in that division.
I don't see, quite frankly, a loss on the Dallas schedule.
You said the game's at the Chargers?
The game is, no, I think that game's at home.
Is that Dallas?
Minnesota in Dallas, Chargers at Dallas. The 2 games
that'll be tough
in the NFC East to close out are both on the road.
See, I look at the game versus the Chargers as interesting because the way the Chargers defense played last week, it kind of makes me wonder, is the Chargers kind of finding their way a little bit here? But I have no faith in the Vikings, so I'm chalking that as a win for Dallas easily. I think the way the Vikings got manhandled last week that's the beginning of their end.
To me, if they beat Detroit, they win out.
Okay.
Now, if they lose to the Chargers, that would be an upset. Agree?
I don't want to say that upset.
You think that Detroit's the most losable game for them?
I think the Chargers are the most losable game.
Because the game's at Detroit. And keep this in mind. This is where Dallas has a nice advantage. They've already gone through this part of the schedule. They beat Philadelphia. They beat Kansas City. They play Detroit. Now, that's on a Thursday night. So it's an unconventional Thursday situation for them, though, because they played last Thursday.
Right. Both teams are coming off of Thursday night games playing on a Thursday.
Right. So you wonder if this is going to be like a new tradition where Dallas and – no, you can't do that because they don't play each other every year. But you know what I mean? This just happened to be on the schedule this year that the 2 Thursday teams play again on the next Thursday.
I mean, I think that would be pretty smart by the NFL to be like,
hey,
if you play on Thursday, you play on Thursday.
Yeah, but they can't play each other every year. Dallas and Detroit aren't on each other's schedule every year.
Yeah, the NFL can make things work. Come on.
So they play Thursday, and this is where Dallas now takes advantage of the schedule because now they get 10 days off before they play Minnesota.
And they're gonna destroy Minnesota.
Then they play the Chargers. That game's at home. Then they play on Christmas Day against Washington on the road. That's the Netflix game. And then they play the Giants to close out the season, and you would think they'll be favored in both those games. Now, both those games are on the road.
The only hesitation you give at the Washington game is the fact that Washington almost beat the Broncos this past week after everything was against them to win it.
Yep.
So, I mean, And by then, we expect Jaden Daniels to be back. Could Washington be looking at this Dallas game as, hey, we're going to ruin your playoff run?
I think Washington definitely, especially with the Eagles. The Eagles playing Washington twice in the last 2 weeks is definitely a concerning situation if I'm the Eagles. They want to play spoiler. Plus, you got the whole, I don't know, does this play into it at all? The whole Josh Harris, the Philadelphia.
It definitely plays into it for the fans.
But do you think that there's that whole point of like Washington definitely wants, look, they're division teams. The Eagles beat them in the NFC Championship game last year. I think Washington wants to make sure that Philadelphia. Now, Dallas and Washington back in the day, they had a pretty big rivalry.
Yes.
So I think Washington, if that rivalry is still as big as it may, I don't think it's as big as it used to be just because both teams haven't been nearly as good.
It's big for the fans. You know how it is with that. When the fans are into it, the players feed off of it.
609-403-0973. All right. So, Nick Foles, Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP of the Super Bowl, essentially can walk on water here, right? Nick Foles could essentially walk on water here and say anything. And he said something, I think, right off the bat here that is pretty interesting, if you ask me. Everybody thinks that the Eagles need to do something with Kevin Patullo, right? They all think that they need to do something with Kevin Patullo. Interestingly enough, Nick Foles commented on that very possibility. Does Nick Foles think that firing Kevin Patullo is the right thing to do?
I know a lot of fans out there are, saying fire Kevin and do this or that. And
they were chanting it during the game.
They were chanting it, and I think that's just the wrong decision at this point there in the season. And you're going to put your team in a really tough situation because I'm a big believer in you better have an answer before you make a decision. Don't make a decision and then let's try to find an answer. So if you look at the staff right now and who they have, and I know some people on the staff, and I just don't see an answer right now that can step in that situation at this point during the season and turn this thing around.
So Foles does not think firing Patullo is the way to go, and part of it is because they don't have anybody that can do it. They just don't have somebody on the staff, including the head coach.
And I like how he said, I know some of these people on the staff. I like that little nugget he threw in there, a little Nick Nugget from Nick Foles.
Well, it's what I tried to tell Nick Nugget yesterday. You want Parks and Rec Frasers to call the plays? Get the heck out of here with that idea. But the one guy everybody would say, okay, what about Sirianni? Foles does not think Sirianni's the answer.
The other answer could be Nick Sirianni takes over play calling, but we looked at the statistics of when he called plays in Philadelphia, and I don't think that's something that Nick wants to do. I think he wants to oversee everything and be the head coach and trust his play callers and then give input. That's not the answer. When we looked at the statistics, that's why Shane Steichen eventually, in Nick Sirianni's first year, took over play calling duties and the offense started taking off.
So he mapped it out. He thinks that Sirianni wants to oversee everything. He doesn't want to be the play caller. They went back and looked at the offense. They threw the ball a lot when Sirianni was the play caller. But we're all talking about the play caller here. Does Nick Foles see the Eagles' offense as a play caller issue? Here's what he said.
As a quarterback, I'm a problem solver. I like to solve problems. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, a simple adjustment is put him up in the box and bring someone from the box down. And the quarterback should only be talking to the head coach and maybe his quarterback coach and the OC. That is it. He doesn't need to be talking to anyone else. There's too many talking heads. It can clutter the mind. This isn't a Jalen Hurts problem. This is a team problem. This is the Eagles' problem. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Right now, they are struggling as a team.
So Nick Foles believes this is a team problem. It's not a quarterback problem. It's not a play caller problem. It's a team problem. So how do they fix this outside of, he says, don't fire the coordinator, don't make Nick the play caller, right? Those are the two things. Don't make Nick the play caller, don't fire Kevin Patullo. So could they possibly somehow reconfigure this offense? Take a listen.
Going back to 2017, Carson goes down. I play in the style of offense that was his style of offense, and it wasn't as comfortable for me, but I was able to run it through the end of the regular season and do decently well, not great. And then we got the bye week. And that's where we reconfigured the offense to my strengths, to what I did well. And then the playoffs hit. And because we did that, made the changes that we needed to do to put me in a position where I could go out there and play my best football, I was able to excel with my teammates on the field because I became more comfortable with running the plays we were running. It was plays within our system that we had to find and put out there, more so that maybe Carson didn't like the run, that I like the run.
I think that's a very insightful one. Carson didn't like the run, but I like the run. He talked about the bye week there. The Eagles have a little mini bye here. Does hearing that make you guys feel like there is a possibility that this offense can get back on track because things have gone, you say, well, they've already had a bye. They've already had a bye and then a mini bye. Well, this is the third week in a row that their offense has really struggled. This little mini extra bye here. What Nick Foles said right there gives me a little bit of reason for pause to have. Maybe there's some plays that are still in this playbook that they haven't got to yet, or that Hurts can really sit down and say, guys, listen, we're struggling. This is where we should go. This is what I feel comfortable. Like, you would hope that that's already happened before, but maybe it hasn't. I thought that was a very interesting. Can they reconfigure the offense almost as if Hurts is a totally different quarterback? Because right now, as Nick Foles watches this offense, he sees an offense that has no basically rhyme, reason, rhythm, or identity.
Your answer is actually within the facility of the personnel you have. You're already 8-4. You've done great things this year. Your offense has not had a rhythm. And I do think when I watch the plays, when I'm looking from a player's perspective, all I see is plays being run. I don't see an offense being run. And what I mean by that is you can run plays and make plays, but there's no rhythm. There's no identity. I saw that, and I've seen that continuously. There's no identity as an offense. And to be this late in the season searching for that is not a good thing. But you are where you're at, so let's figure it out.
Yeah, the fact that they have no rhythm, no identity, nothing, and have won 8 games, that's the positive. The negative is you have no rhythm or identity in your offense. And he believes they have the players and coaches that can make that change. I believe they have the players. We all believe they have the players. Can the coaches figure out what will get the best, accentuate the positives of the players that they have on the current team? But ultimately, as Nick Foles points out, they need to get back and simplify things and get back to the fundamentals because right now they are not executing.
How can we make this a cohesive, rhythmic unit that has a simple listen, go back to simple identity of formations and you're running, play action, passing, trick plays, screens out of similar looks so the defense can't key. Like on third down, getting into more bunches with receivers to help with release patterns, to confuse the defense, they're too spread out.
Simplify things. People would say the Eagles' offense is already too simple. Just go back to fundamentals. The fundamentals that this team lacks shows up every single week. They can't run the ball. And then that peels everything out. Till they can't throw the ball because they can't run because everybody knows you're going to throw. But the one thing that I was talking about yesterday, I think they lack confidence. And it's what Nick Foles sees as well.
The Eagles are losing confidence, but that's something that can be gained back. And, you want to peak at the right time. Right now, the Eagles can start fixing this thing, making the little micro changes, and start peaking going into the playoffs and figure this thing out so it's not another 2023 thing where, man, they had a really strong start and then fell apart. I mean, they remember that. They remember what happened. They have that wisdom from that moment, so they have the opportunity to fix it.
They have the opportunity to fix it. They lack confidence, but he said you can get that back. And he's right. One play for a professional athlete. Baseball players go through confidence up and down the whole season. Right? You're in an 0 for 12 slump. You hit a little, two-hopper that gets through the hole, and the next thing you know, you're 9 for your next 13. It's a fine line of confidence and the play that it takes to get your confidence back. Could it be that first play action, take a shot down the field, you connect on that play action, and the next thing you know, you're feeling yourself a little bit. 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Text board is open. You can get on board the text board, as always. I do want to update the poll question real fast. Eagles fans, are you concerned about winning the NFC East? Is the division secure? Who wins the East, Eagles or Cowboys? And with that, we start today's program with that poll question. We'll update it at 2:45. I'll get you the updates. You can text in 609-403-0973. What else we got? Flyers got blown out last night. Not fun.
That was a miserable game last night.
They got back to 1-1. They got the power play on a two-man advantage. I was watching that, and then I flipped back to the football game. When I went back, it was 3-1.
They put so much energy into trying to get back into that game. I feel like they didn't have enough at the end to finish it.
Well, they always have problems against that guy. What's his name?
Crosby?
Yeah, Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby has more goals and more points against the Flyers than any other team in his career.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. 5-1 Flyers lose to the Penguins last night. Sixers tonight. We'll have Paul Hudrick on tonight a little bit later on in the show. Also, Giants lost to the Patriots last night. Patriots are won 10 in a row. Who's in, who's out? We'll do that coming up at 3:30 today, plus football at 4. When we come back, the Eagles' offense, painful. We'll break it down a little bit more. And what is inexcusable about this Eagles offense? You'll hear that coming up next. Don't go away. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe. Hit that bell. We're back with more Bash.
You watch the offense, and the first third down of the game, they call a pass concept that only beats one coverage, and the boo birds come out, and the fans are going crazy. The fans are calling out plays before the plays are actually happening. Yeah. It's an offense right now that is painful to watch.
Dan Orlovsky said the Eagles' offense is painful to watch, and he ain't wrong. They don't have an identity. Nobody knows what this team is. Do they run the ball? Do they want to run the ball? Yes. Can they run the ball? No. Can they throw the ball? Well, everything they do in the passing game works off the run game. They can't run the ball. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? They can't figure it out. And it has been a issue all season long. Mike Gill, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Vote in the poll question at Mike Gill Show. Let us know. Do you think the NFC East is in peril? I was thinking about this last night with the NFC East because all these other divisions, we were talking about the division being wrapped up, by December, and then they lost, 2 games in a row. And next thing you know, Dallas wins 2, and you're right back to square one where we were in 2023. Philadelphia's 10-1. Dallas seemingly is out of it. Philly completely vomits all over itself, and Dallas passed them. They are 6-5-1. And I asked the question, does that tie come into play? You're only 1 loss apart. There's only 1 loss separating you. If the Eagles were to lose to the Chargers, theoretically, Dallas would be 7-5-1 if they win. You're going to know by Sunday, if they are 7-5-1 and you are 8-5, they're going to pass you. They're going to pass you. It could be a difference by the end of the week. That's why I asked the question today. Is the NFC East up for grabs? Are you worried about the NFC East? 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. I want to update that poll question in about 15 minutes from now. But right now, are you concerned it's 80-20 one way? Who wins the East, Eagles or Dallas? Right now it's 80-20. Let me know. We'll do text messages at 3 o'clock. I do see a lot of text messages coming in. But the most infuriating and inexcusable thing about this team is, okay, their offense is painful to watch. Does it have to be this way? I don't think it does. And it's something Michelle Smallman said this morning on Unsportsmanlike.
The highest salaried offense in the NFL. You have a lot of money on that side of the ball. How concerning should it be if at this point in the season, Jalen Hurts is still saying we need to find our identity? We still need to find continuity and find our identity. We're in December. How do we not have an identity on that side of the ball yet?
Bingo. She said it. We're in December. You haven't figured out 12 weeks in that we can't run the ball? We're in December. You haven't figured out by now what works and what doesn't? I'm not asking for it to be a finished product. It never is. You're constantly evolving and trying, but you should have an idea what you're good at. And right now, this team isn't good at anything. Not even the tush push. They're not good at that. They can't run. They don't throw it particularly well. It's inexcusable that they haven't figured out what they're not good at and what they are good at and what we are good at and what we can build off of what we're good at. As Nick Foles said, find some things, build off of that. You're not even finding those things right now.
But it's also to her point about how, they keep saying, hey, we got to do a better job. We got to find our identity. It's like, stop saying what you have to do and just do it. Like at some point, someone's got to walk in the room and just be the adult in the room. Like I don't understand, Mike, and that's why I appreciate what Michelle Smallman said. Like, it's December. Stop telling us you got to do better, you got to find an identity. Just do it.
It's frustrating because we all have seen this group of guys be able to do it.
Right.
And that's a question that I keep asking. Are we too fixated on this group has done it so they'll do it? Like, is it fair to look at the talent and say, maybe the talent has taken a step back. Maybe the talent isn't as good as it was. We're always willing to do that in other sports. Guy starts to get older. Joel Embiid he stinks.
But see, that's different. See, you just named two situations that are not this. Guy gets older. There's nobody north of 35, 36. Like, there's no old people on this team necessarily, except for Lane Johnson. But, I mean, that's an injury thing more so than anything else.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about age. I'm talking about performance. I'm just saying, like, are we putting too much stock in, well, Mailata's always been really good. Maybe he's just not right now. Landon Dickerson, he's banged up. Jurgen, same thing. Like, I'm not talking about their ages.
But then you
got to
plan
I'm
for
talking
that.
about, well, how do you plan for it in the middle of the season?
Well, we see other coaches do it around the NFL, and that's where people get frustrated. That's why people are.
You took suggesting personnel changes or what?
No, I'm talking
Like,
about
the guys that you count on over the years to run your offense. You put in this run game based on what? I got great offensive line. The offensive line is not performing. So do I get away from the run game altogether? Do I replace guys on the offensive line and try to get different players up there and see if they can do a better job?
You can do that, but it doesn't actually fix the deeper problem, which the deeper problem is Orlovsky said the offense looks painful. He gave an example of how you're running a third down play that only works against one coverage. This is the issue. The issue is
but he's picking out one just like yesterday.
But we
Mosher
can go
picked
through
out
every
the third
game.
down.
You
He
go
picks
through
out
every
the third
game.
down and 8 play. It's wide open. If they just execute it, it's a first down. It may be probably a touchdown.
Well, for example, I was watching Kurt Warner break this down on his QB Confidential, where he was explaining, he said, there are plays that Jalen never looks across the field. He just 0-0 on one guy. And he says, hey, this play coverage is meant for him to look around the field. And then Warner.
That's an execution problem.
Well, then Warner said, is that because he's being told to do it or because it's all he knows how to do?
Those are things that, that part of it we'll never know. Right? We can speculate all we want. Is he not being told? Is he not being coached? I mean, that's when you really have to seriously, if we really, really believe that, that's where you can really question the coach. Like, if he's not teaching, blah, blah, blah. But those are things that you can't quantify. Is the play open? Is there a play to be made? Is there a play that is there? And that's why Orlovsky, I'm a fan of what he does. I think these guys all do good jobs. All these guys who find one particular play and then break that play down. There's 80 plays in the game. You're showing me one. Like Mosher yesterday, he said 3rd down and 8 is one of the lowest percentage plays in football. When it's 3rd and 8, that's a tough play. He's like, and they dialed up a 3rd and 8 play that was wide open. It wasn't a play call problem. It was a execution problem. You had Devontae Smith wide open, throw is behind him. That's a first down if he throws it where he's supposed to.
And that's why I'm not vacating blame from Jalen Hurts, but I'm saying, Nick Foles mentioned that it's a team problem, not an individual problem.
But that's where what Foles said was you got to get back to the fundamentals and that they're lacking confidence a little bit.
But part of the fundamentals, is it not saying, hey, doing this is not working. Let's just stop doing it.
I go back to a lot of the things that McMullen and I have talked about over the years that we've had our conversations. Everybody blames the play caller. Oh, you should have ran the ball here when they decided to throw. And then you should have threw the ball here when you decided to run. It's the result of the play that you are essentially calling out. You can run the ball like the Bears did in down and distance situations. And if you execute it up front, you'll get the yardage you need. On 3rd and 8, the Eagles called a play that was a great play, and they didn't execute it. Are we always so quick to point the finger at the coach? Again, because we can relate more with the coach than we can the player. Because many people believe they could, in fact, coach. They know they can't play.
Again, I understand what you're saying in terms of the average fan. There's a lot of people out there, it's their default. But I'm saying, I'm talking here. Remove the average person. Let's have a conversation with Josh Hennig and Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. I think both you and I have a history of not blaming the coach. Neither one of us have.
And by the way, yesterday I'm critical of Patullo and say I think the team probably would be better off moving on from him. And my reasoning isn't his performance. It's that I believe the players have lost confidence in him.
Right. And so
that's a bad sign.
Right. And so it's not about me saying I think I could do a better job necessarily than the people who are doing it. What I'm saying is I look around the NFL and I see other coaches who are adjusting in season, who are finding ways to win, who are saying, hey, this isn't working. We're going to do something else. Listen, let's just go to the guy who was here last year. The fact that Kellen Moore has had the Saints in so many games with arguably the worst quarterback play in the NFL, with one of the worst offensive lines, most penalized lines in the NFL. Kellen Moore has found a way to get the Saints to be a competitive football team, and they are garbage. That's just one of many examples around why are other teams in the NFL able to find a way to adjust and make their team get better as the year goes on, and this Eagles coaching staff hasn't.
Don't have that answer. And by the way, Kellen Moore's team has scored 180 points. It's one of the worst. In fact, it is the lowest in the entire conference.
But guess what? They have been competitive in almost every game.
Competitive is subjective to who you're playing, what your schedule looks like. I mean,
they're all professionals.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they lost to the Dolphins, not a very good team.
They almost beat the Dolphins.
They lost to it, but I'm saying not a very good team. They lost to Atlanta. They got beat up pretty good. They lost to the Rams. They got smoked. They got smoked by Tampa. I mean, you get it. They basically have not – they haven't won very many games. I don't look at the –
Fine, we'll be the final winning team. I've seen Sean McVay do an amazing job. So has Kyle Shanahan.
No, but my point has always been this: like Kellen Moore, the play call this year, he got criticized here.
Yes,
people did not think Kellen Moore did a great job when he got hired. It was like, get rid of this guy, because they were thinking that he wasn't good enough. You can't just think you're going to bring in a play caller like Kellen Moore was here, and that it's like a magic pill and it fixes everything. If Kellen Moore was this great play caller, and the play caller could make the impact, and I'm not saying they can't. My thing is, I think the Eagles lack execution right now.
I agree with that too. But I think
if we were to measure, what is a bigger problem for the Eagles? The play calling and the play caller, or the lack of execution and the lack of fundamentals? My answer would be I lean more that the lack of execution and the fundamentals is hurting this team more than Kevin Patullo is.
I agree.
I
agree with that.
Issue is, if I believe the players have lost confidence in that guy, I start to worry that they just will tune him out. And he could be Bill Walsh. If they've tuned out Bill Walsh, you're screwed. And that's where I think he's got an uphill battle right now. And I hope I'm 100% wrong on that.
I agree with the fundamentals. I agree with the execution, because there's a lot of times that when you go back and rewatch the game, when Jalen Hurts is dropping back, however many steps, 3 steps, 5 steps, whatever it is, the rule has always been when your back foot hits, that ball needs to come out of your hand. And that's when the receiver should be ready for the ball to come to them, or at least be turning into the play. There's a lot of times when Hurts hits that back foot and he's throwing the ball, Mike, the receiver is not on the same page as the quarterback.
Right, and that means
that's the execution.
Exactly? Was it a bad play call or a bad executed play? If the play was executed properly, now I would agree that I think the Eagles' offense is very simplistic, but it's one of the things Nick Foles said: simplify the offense, go back to fundamentals. And the Eagles' offense has been simplistic. It has been very simple. And you know what? That's why they don't turn the ball over. That's why they don't make a lot of mistakes. They have simplified things so that you don't line up improperly, go off, because everything is so simple. And one of the reasons they could do that is because they could run the ball. Over the Sirianni era, they've been able to run the ball, and that has allowed them to be very simple, and it has allowed them to not turn the ball over a lot because they don't throw the ball a whole heck of a lot, right? They're one of the least passing attempt teams in the league. I think the lowest last year.
Yeah, I would say that to me. I don't think Nick Foles is saying simplify the offense as in run simpler plays. I think he's saying simplify the offense as in stop overthinking it. Listen, I am someone who's a massive overthinker. And sometimes
I didn't catch that out of you.
Thanks. And sometimes I just need to be told, Josh, keep it simple, stupid. And you know what? I think that's what Foles is saying.
Can this thing be salvaged? listening to what Foles said, the conversation we're having, you guys out there, let's have this conversation together. 609-403-0973. Text board open. Thoughts on the Eagles offense? I like what Michelle Smallman said. It's inexcusable. I agree. Can they find an identity with this group? And the poll question. We're going to unveil the first hour results. 609-403-0973 at Mike Gill Show. Right now, Eagles fans, are you concerned about winning the NFC East? Correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh. This tie makes it wonky. If Dallas wins on Thursday night, they will be 7-5-1.
Right.
If the Eagles lost, they would be 8-5.
The Eagles would still be ahead because they had the one more win.
Not the way these things have been going. The less losses, that they would be tied in the loss column.
But not the win column.
In the win column. So they would be basically, all right. So if the Eagles were 8-5 and Dallas was 7-5-1 because of the two losses, you're right. But that would essentially have them tied with 4 games left.
Neck and neck.
So, are you concerned about the NFC East? Right now, there's 2 answers. Who wins the NFC East? Eagles, Dallas. They're your choices, obviously. And right now it's 73 to 27%. We'll update the poll. You can vote right now at Mike Gill Show. Hit me up. Let me know. Where's your mind at? Sports Bash, live on your home for Sixers Wizards tonight. The coverage starts at 7 o'clock.
This is what I would say about Philadelphia. I think you're concerned that you're going to lose the division. The Cowboys, as outrageous as that sounds, if you would sit here and go, who do you feel is likelier to win the division right now? It's not far-fetched to say Dallas.
Sure.
Dan Orlovsky says Eagles fans should be worried about the NFC East. Let's update the poll question at Mike Gill Show. We'll do it throughout the day. Early returns. This is like when they do the voting, election day. Let's get the early returns in this county over here.
Yeah, 20% of precincts are reporting.
So far, Eagles fans, are you concerned about winning the NFC East? Is the division secure? Who wins the NFC East, Eagles or Cowboys? At Mike Gill Show. It's 73.9 to 26.1. Who's winning? Eagles or Cowboys? I'll tell you one answer. Somebody did a write-in, which I don't know why you would do a write-in when you have to vote, but Joe Shades says Dallas is winning the division. Dallas likely beats Detroit because they're banged up as always. So one answer says Dallas is winning the division, but it's 74-26. Who wins the division? Eagles or Dallas? Which way are the people voting? Early precincts in. This is Salem County.
Salem County, this is for you.
The first results are coming in from Salem County today. I was in Salem County the other day.
Were you?
Well, I drove home from Wilmington. You got to drive through Salem County.
That is true.
I like it out there.
You stop anywhere? Or just kept driving?
Farmers and Bankers.
I've been wanting to get out there, actually.
Awesome. I liked it. Great spot.
Thank you. I'll have to check it out. My assumption is that most people are voting Eagles just because they hate the Cowboys.
So you think it's 73% Eagles, 26% Dallas. 609-403-0973. Right now, Eagles fans, are you concerned about winning the NFC East, as Dan Orlovsky said? Real quick, we gave you the Dallas schedule down the stretch they come. They've got Detroit on the road, Minnesota Chargers at home, Washington on the road, Giants on the road. How many wins are in there? I got 4, maybe 5. I think they run the table if they keep playing the way they are. Now, that could change at any moment. And we know what Philadelphia's got left.
Right.
They have the Chargers. They got the Raiders.
Chargers on Monday Night Football, by the way.
Right. They got the Chargers. They got the Raiders. They got Washington. They got Buffalo. And they got Washington.
At Buffalo. Don't forget about that part.
That's not a very easy game.
The at Buffalo thing is the biggest variable to me. If that game was in Philadelphia, I feel very differently.
I don't know how you're going to keep up with their offense.
Their offense? How are you going to hear on offense?
I'm just saying. If you played in Philadelphia, how are you going to keep up with their offense?
I think the Eagles are a better home team than road team at this point.
I think most teams in the league check that box. Just saying. I don't think there's any team that says, you know what, I feel better playing on the road, although sometimes you need to get away. Maybe this is one of those weeks. Right now, 73.9% say the Eagles will win the NFC East. But the fact that 26% think Dallas will win, and by the way, this is early returns. We're just in Salem County. We haven't reached Cape May, Cumberland, Ocean, Gloucester, Camden, Atlantic.
You think those people are more sympathetic to the Cowboys?
Possible. You think there's more Dallas fans in Salem?
I have no idea. I will have to see what the census data says.
All right, we come back. Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. All right, 3 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We'll do who's in, who's out. I don't know how we're going to find 7 playoff teams. This one seems to be a little tough, but we'll do it coming up in a half an hour. This hour is brought to you by Broadley's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907, online, broadleys.net. Mike Gill in the Sports Bash, text in. We're going to read off all the text messages that we've got so far. Well, as many as we can anyway. We always say we're going to do them all, and then we get sidetracked. And there's a lot. We get a lot of text. Thanks to you guys out there. We get a ton of text messages, and we appreciate you as always. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment in the comment section. Or if you want to text to the text board, 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. 0973. Let's get into some of the messages and see what we got from the people listening to the show today. Mike, Eagles go 1-4 down the stretch. They get edged out by Dallas. That's on the text board there. I don't know the Eagles go 1-4. I could definitely see 2-3. I would, if they keep playing like this, would you be surprised at 2-3?
Well, if they keep playing like this, they're not going to win any games the rest of the year, probably. But I don't see a scenario where they're going to keep playing this bad. I feel like there's got to be some professional pride in that locker room where I would hope there's professional pride where someone just has to turn around. There's got to be somebody who walks in the room who says, guys, we got to be better. Let's be better this week.
We thought that in 2023.
I think the difference in 2023 is that there were two differences to me in 2023 than this year. One, you got off that hot start, and then the avalanche hit like a ton of bricks. This has been more of like a slow build to this problem. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, if we all of a sudden think there's going to magic pill, a magic button, or magic something that's going to change this offense, they'll be fine. If this is their offense down the stretch and they've got to scratch and claw, you're going to need your defense to play at a better level than it's playing right now. And that's not to say their defense is getting torched yardage-wise. They're just getting torched on the ground. They're not stopping anybody. Now, I say stopping anybody. They're bending, not breaking until they're breaking because you're on the field for 80 plays. You're going to run out of gas. And then the battle of attrition comes into play. They're starting to lose guys to injury as well.
Well, that's what goes to what Orlovsky said on First Take about how the defense has been carrying the team so long they finally broke versus the Bears.
To watch Chicago go in there and physically, offensively do what they did to Philadelphia's defense, it felt like a defense that knows the offense right now is not good, and they were just holding on. I have not seen anybody push around the Philadelphia Eagles defense the way that Chicago did. And so you're watching this defense almost like break. There's nothing left for us to do. We've tried to keep us in games as long as we can.
This is what I talked about before. People said the difference between 2023 and now is the defense. I agree. But I kept saying it's not the defense that I'm worried about. It's that the defense is going to start breaking because the offense can't hold up their end of the bargain.
And that's why, for me, when I look at the schedule, listen, I think they're going to beat the Raiders. I think anybody if they lose to the Raiders, they got bigger problems.
We said that a couple of years ago when they played Arizona.
And then they lost.
Right. They lost that game. They couldn't stop Arizona.
They couldn't stop a nosebleed in the game.
They couldn't stop Arizona that day. And we're like, okay, there's no way they're going to lose to the Cardinals. And they played the Giants. And they lost to the Giants. I mean, you look at some of the games they lost in 2023, teams that they lost to late in that year after they had already beaten Kansas City and they had beaten Buffalo and they had beaten, Miami was good that year.
Right.
And they dominated the game against Miami. Down the stretch, they lost to San Fran.
They got punted by San Fran.
They lost to Seattle. They lost to Arizona, and they lost to the Giants.
And the way they lost some of those games was what makes people have flashbacks with this year. Is because in that year, when they lost to San Francisco and they lost to Dallas, they got completely dominated. And then they should have won the Seattle game. They could have won the Cardinals game. They didn't win those games.
Well, you say they could have and should have, but the way they lost, the Arizona game, they couldn't stop the Cardinals at all.
Correct.
The Seattle game, the defense actually played pretty well. They had no offense that night.
Right, and the offense kept having those dumb turnovers, those dumb plays that were called down the stretch, and then Jalen ad-lib through that interception. So
That game against Arizona, if you remember, they gave up 220 yards on the ground that night against Arizona. 40 carries for 221. They gave up 3 touchdown passes to Kyler Murray. And, they had nothing. They could not get an answer. They could not get a stop.
And so that's why I think, when you lose the way you lost to Chicago, I think that is why people are nervous and why people are frustrated, because it's one thing to lose to Dallas at Dallas. You had a 21-point lead, and then you choked it. But the way you got dominated, as Orlovsky said, out-physicaled by a Bears team that is on the come-up. They're not a traditional power.
They're not. I think the Bears, and I think at the beginning of the season, that was a team that I kind of circled at, could surprise people if they got Ben Johnson's offense. And I think they're getting the offense.
Which is ironic, though, because Caleb Williams has a 51% completion percentage in the last 2 games. So it's not the quarterback. It's the running backs for Chicago, which is interesting.
Their offensive line is very good.
Very good.
Very good. And that's, an area where they have struggled. 609-403-0973. Mike, the Eagles are winning the NFC East. Dave from Barnegat has he says winning the NFC East. Dave from Barnegat has no faith whatsoever in the Eagles winning the division. So he's going for Dallas. Mike, they are completely outcoached and outplayed on both sides of the ball. It is concerning. I'm chalking it up to a short week, holidays, a lot going on. Vulnerable spot, and they got beat. I don't think they will collapse. Eagles still win the division. They need to win 3 more games. At Buffalo is an L, I believe. Chargers is probably the other. Cannot lose. They cannot lose a home game. Well, you're chalking it up to a short week, holidays, and a lot going on. I would ask this question. Did Chicago play on a short week with holidays and a lot going on? And they had to travel on the road to come here.
Correct.
So wouldn't it be more vulnerable spot for them? And by the way, Chicago was a touchdown underdog in this game. It wasn't like, hey, the odds makers thought that this game was a tough spot for you. They thought that Philadelphia was the better team. Didn't work out that way.
No, and the Eagles didn't look like the better team either. They played like the worst team.
Mike, run Bigsby more, and where the heck did Goddard go? I don't have a problem sprinkling Bigsby in here and there. I think he should get like 5 to 7 touches, maybe cut those Barkley touches back. I mean, it can't hurt just to give you a change of pace, change of look. A lot of these teams are running 2 backs. Very few teams use 1 guy.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of running Bigsby as the second option. Have a little thunder and lightning kind of situation.
Yeah.
My problem is, if you watch the plays, you know that they're running Bigsby one set of plays on Barkley another set of plays.
Well, Bigsby had 1 carry. I don't even think he had a carry.
I don't think he carried the ball in the last game.
They're not running any set of plays.
No, I mean
Bigsby.
In previous games, you watched him have these runs.
Well, when Bigsby gets into the game, the defense really is not he gets into games and situations that are just not big moments. They're beating the Giants up pretty good, and he gets into the game. And he gets these carries where the game's kind of over.
Sometimes, but in other situations, he's been gotten the ball in situations where he's kind of relieving, giving Saquon a breath or something.
How many carries does he have the whole year?
I don't know. I gotta look it up, but maybe 50.
I think that's way more. I don't think he's got more than 25. I'd be shocked if he was over 20. Because I think I looked up the other day where he essentially has 1 game's worth of work. Maybe 18, 19 carries, if that.
It seemed like more, but yeah, it's only 18 carries for 164 yards.
Yeah, he's got literally a game's worth of carries.
Yeah.
He's got 18 carries. So when he comes into the game, it's generally in garbage time or the game's at hand, and they kind of just so the defense is not really it's not like they're accounting for him and
right.
It is a big situation. I look at this game. He had 9 carries in the game against the Giants. That's the one game I remember him. He had 100 yards. And that game's over. I mean, they're winning that game 38-20. He's getting carries late in the game. He had 1 carry against Minnesota, 3 against Green Bay, 4 against Detroit. Now, he generally gets pretty good yardage. But, he comes into the game and he gets his one tote. He runs hard, gets 11 yards. It might be on a draw play, sneaky little draw, stuff like that, so it's so hard to quantify. I'm not anti giving him more options. I think you can fit him in for 5 to 7. Get him in every third series or something. I would be a proponent of giving Shipley a little bit more because I think the Barkley thing, teams are keying on him.
I would just say my problem with the whole thing is I don't mind giving the guys more reps. Sure, let's do it. My thing is giving Bigsby or Shipley the ball more doesn't fix the issue when you're not executing fundamentals. Because you can also not execute fundamentals when they're in the game too.
Yeah, I think the Eagles' run game needs a shot in the arm. The offensive line is a problem. To keep doing the same thing over and over again is not working.
Right.
So here, filter in Shipley as a third down back. Filter in Bigsby on first down and say, hey, we're going to run something a little different in the run game. Maybe he has a little extra burst. It's not crazy that sometimes the second back has a little extra burst, a little extra wiggle. The guy who replaces Derrick Henry is generally faster than Derrick Henry.
Right.
So it's not crazy to say that Bigsby has a little extra burst maybe. But as McMullen said, one of the problems Bigsby's had in the past, he's been a fumbler. He's been a guy that constantly has fumbled the football, and that's why he didn't get I don't want to say fair, he didn't get a longer look in Jacksonville because they couldn't trust him.
By the way, Jacksonville drafted 2 running backs because of his fumble issues.
609-403-0973. Brandon in Dennisville. I met Brandon in Dennisville, by the way. He was at 99 Bottles, and very nice dude. Great table. They were sitting right next to us doing our broadcast. He was the guy that was there with this is a funny story. So Brandon in Dennisville showed up, and there was a guy with him that was wearing West Virginia gear.
Okay.
So I was at Glasstown Brewery on Friday for the Eagles game.
Gotcha.
And that gentleman happened to be there.
Really?
Yeah. He came up and said hello, and I was shocked. First off, he noticed that I was out and about, right? He came over and was like, hey, let's go Mountaineers. He didn't have a WVU thing on, but he had a blue and yellow hoodie on. So
Gotcha.
I thought it was a West Virginia hoodie. But Brandon in Dennisville text in. Good to meet you, Brandon. Thank you for saying hello. He says, Eagles still win NFC East, and my only reason left for optimism for a deep playoff run this year is the parity in the league. Now, let's stop right there real quick. That's where you're absolutely right. The parity in this league keeps you not bailing on the team altogether.
Yep.
Right?
Because other teams can come down to your level and you could beat them.
Carolina goes and they beat the Rams in Carolina, but they go and beat the Rams.
But part of
right
the
when
reason,
you are believing that the Rams are clearly the best team.
But that's an example of why it happens, because styles make fights. That's a Rams team, sorry, a Panthers team with a defense coordinator who's very familiar with Sean McVay's offense. And when you watch the game, you realize, wait a minute, they're almost predicting some of these pass patterns.
Yeah, it's right when you're believing that the Rams are clearly the best team, they slip up.
Right.
And is there an AFC team that anybody thinks is the best team? You like the Patriots.
Yep.
If you played the Patriots, would you be like, oh, my God, we can't beat this team?
I think the average person wouldn't. Maybe the sports book people would maybe get a closer spread than the Bears game.
Brandon in Dennisville goes on to say, if the Eagles do end up having a deja vu 2023 collapse, Howie and Mr. Lurie should write Mike Tomlin a blank check, assuming he's available, willing to leave Pittsburgh, pairing with our young defensive core and Hurt's robotic football-only mindset, and I think we'd see multiple championships in the next 5 years.
I only disagree with that for one reason. Tomlin right now is having the same problem in Pittsburgh that Andy Reid had at the end of his tenure in Philadelphia. The coordinators left him, and he can't replace him. Tomlin has shown you that he is just as coordinator dependent as many other coaches.
But Andy went to a next stop and won a Super Bowl. Could Tomlin just need to go to the next stop?
Maybe I would just ask, it's the old who's he bringing with him kind of question. For example,
my only pushback on that would be Tomlin's problem has been on the now when he had Roethlisberger, they won.
But they also had Todd Haley, for example, as offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They also have Bruce
Todd Haley's
Arians.
apparently on Sirius XM radio. Why don't they go get him?
He's available. Let's go. Come on, Nick.
He says, I know I'm wishing on the stars, as that has never been Lurie's potential head coaching candidate. Well, the funny part is, if you brought Mike Tomlin to coach here, and this is getting way down the weird path here, but is he like your next forever, your next Andy Reid, where he's here for like 15 years?
I mean, how old is Tomlin? That's my only question.
He's a young guy. I don't think Tomlin's more than...
I would assume he's 50.
My guess, I was going to say, is like 50...
53.
53 is what my guess was going to be.
53.
53.
1972.
I was going back and forth between 52 and 53. So 53, he could coach for another 20
years, yeah. I would just say I would like to keep Fangio's DC if Tomlin would do that, and then just go.
That would be interesting, too. Well, Tomlin doesn't call the defense.
No.
Tomlin's a Sirianni.
He's a CEO coach.
He doesn't call any plays.
Nope. He's a culture guy.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's essentially what you have now, except for on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think people just think that he's better because, they like the press conferences, right? They like what he says to the media, how he gets, rough and tough with people.
Are the Eagles just cocky and they believe they can do what they have always done and just win, and the team doesn't have a way to adjust? It's from Chris in Delaware.
I think it's a very good point from Chris from Delaware. I think there is a part of that.
The Eagles smell themselves enough that they believe they can just turn it on whenever they want.
Yeah, it's like Roses by Outkast.
I know the song. I'm trying to think of it. Like, I can't hear it in my head, but I know it.
I know you like to think your bleep don't stink, but the roses really smell like poo.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the music, though. The score underneath of it.
I'm sure you could pull up an instrumental.
Yeah, could. What else we got here? We got a lot of texts that came in the 2 o'clock hour. Here we go. UPS Jeff, Eagles better watch Dallas. Might be overtaking them soon. Bring back Chip Kelly. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. I mean, Chip Kelly's got fired from the Raiders because he didn't know how to run the ball. Think about that. The man just won a national championship the previous year. He comes back to the NFL just as an OC, not a head coach, an OC. And all of a sudden, whatever he did in college didn't work in the NFL.
No, this is funny. I just saw this. This text was from yesterday. It was Brandon in Dennisville, by the way. He says, am I wrong to think the Eagles are starting to look like the end of the Doug Peterson era? So much talk about the Sirianni success, but if he's going to die on the Petula Hill, he may have an unexpected exit similar to Peterson. Then he says, my apologies for my father-in-law at Glasstown on Friday. He couldn't resist getting in one more Let's Go Mountaineers. I had no problem with that, Brandon. I enjoyed it greatly. I just was caught off guard because at first I didn't know who it was, and then he had a blue and gold hoodie on, and I thought it was a WVU hoodie, but it wasn't. That's what threw me off. But I had no problem with and Glasstown was a great spot. I thoroughly enjoyed the spot. I had never been there before. That was my first time.
And I would also say that WVU is on the basketball season. So, yes, go Mountaineers.
Yeah, the football team stunk this year. But you're not wrong to think that, Brandon. I was talking about this the other day. I can certainly see this going down the path of Sirianni saying, I've won a Super Bowl. I've been to the Super Bowl. I've been to the playoffs. He's going to be there all 5 years. Him saying, I don't need this anymore. I'll just go someplace else. And just, you got to fire Petullo. Because that's what it's going to come down to. And he's going to say no. And he's going to say...
Well, that's where it's interesting because Doug got fired because he would not let go of Press Taylor. He was so intent.
That's what he's saying. Is it's starting to look like the end of the Peterson era that he will die on the Petula Hill. And Peterson basically, I think, got to the same point where he was like, I don't need this anymore. I won a Super Bowl. I'll get another job. Now, he didn't get a job that first go-around, but he ended up getting another job. The question would be, would Sirianni get hired again? And I think the answer to that is most likely.
Most likely. I think the difference, though, is Peterson was an older, more experienced coach than Sirianni at that point. Like, Sirianni is still a young guy.
Very young.
So, like, does Sirianni...
Is Sirianni 44?
I think he's 44 or 45.
609-403-0973. The Eagles baffle me. Then again, look around the league. Lots of crazy business. Are we just not used to failure? So 8-4 with some quality wins is no longer acceptable. So we overreact, or we're from South Jersey, Philly, so we overreact. We all, quote, know football, so we overreact. Or are we not overreacting? Shaner and EHT mildly reacting. That's a good point. You're 8-4 and you're complaining. In a league filled with parity, how many teams wish they were 8-4? And we're complaining about the 8-4. Is 8-4 no longer acceptable? We're like the college football team that goes 9-2, and that's no good, right? Alabama goes 9-2. They want the guy fired,
which is ridiculous.
But is 8-4 with quality wins? You've beaten Green Bay, the Rams, Detroit, Kansas City. I mean, you've beaten every team that's on except for the Bears.
I think it just goes back to
Dallas. You lost at Dallas,
right? I think it just goes back to the idea that winning masks problems, right? So when you win, it makes the problems less evident. So, by the way, Nick Sirianni right now is 44 years old. Doug Peterson, at the end of the 2020 season, was 52 years old.
Yeah. So there's no question Sirianni is a younger guy.
But my point is that, is Sirianni a kind of guy who maybe says, hey, I'm basically a byproduct of these guys? Whereas Doug can be like, hey, I was with Andy Reid.
No. I think Sirianni is cocky enough to think
you think he's more cocky, potentially?
Absolutely. I think Sirianni thinks, much like Andy, that he could take his offense anywhere and that it'll work. As long Andy thought his offense would work. He didn't need receivers. It's the system.
Yeah.
And Nick could say, I've been to the playoffs every year. What more do you want from me? Like, if he goes to interview for a job, I won a Super Bowl, I got to a Super Bowl, I made the playoffs 5 out of 5 years. Like, I could see them saying, you got to fire Patullo, and him saying, no, we need consistency at that position. And then them saying, sorry, you got to do it. Otherwise, you got to go too. And him saying, fine, I'll get another job. Like, you get to a point where you want to fire me, have a blast. I'll go get another job. Like, I know that I don't say I know. I think Nick believes if he was a free agent, he would get picked up.
And I agree that he would. I would just say that the Eagles could say the same thing to him. They could say, we can find another coach. We've done it before. We've done it again.
How does he care? So what? Fire me. I'll go get another job. You want to go get another coach? See how that goes. Like, he could have the cones to say to somebody, go see what life's like without me. I've got you to a Super Bowl. I won you a Super Bowl, and I've been to the playoffs 5 out of 5 years. And by the way, I saw a stat today that is very interesting. Man, who put this stat out? I got to try to remember.
This is the winning percentage one?
Him against Harbaugh.
Yeah,
it's
I
1
saw
and 2,
that one.
right?
Yeah, let me pull. I saw the stat earlier. I know exactly who tweeted it. Hold on.
It was one of the Eagles guys.
Oh, I saw it from somebody else. So it must be part of some packet or something.
Well, I mean, it's probably in the packet. I probably have it in the packet. Oh, yeah. The guy, one of the Eagles PR guys. Because I got the email today.
Email.
Well, I got the here it is. The game features Nick Sirianni, 70% winning percentage, and Jim Harbaugh, 68%. They rank first and second, respectively, among active NFL coaches in career winning percentage. According to Elias, this is the first time 2 head coaches with 75 or more games have a 680 or better winning percentage have met in the regular season since 1988 when Mike Ditka faced Joe Gibbs. Wow. So you're Nick Sirianni. My resume says I have the second best winning percentage in the league since 2021.
Yeah, I'm pretty darn good.
So you want to fire me? Go for it. You want to go hire Chip Kelly again? Have a blast with that. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's why I think this is that text message that says, does this have the feeling of the end of the Peterson era? I think it does. If Sirianni feels he has to fight for Patullo to stay and doesn't want another coordinator and doesn't want another coordinator who's going to basically get rid of his offense.
And I think that's the bigger issue, is that Nick has only had one guy come in from the outside his entire tenure, and that's Kellen Moore. Nick has been loyal and committed to the friends and family plan almost the entire time. He has wanted to stay in-house. He's not wanted to deviate from his stuff.
Unsportsmanlike moment in 20 minutes when we return. Who's in? Who's out? Which teams, 14 of them, will make the NFL playoffs? Oh, man. This is getting tougher and tougher every week. It's getting no easier this week. We'll do it next. Sports Bash, live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe, follow, like, share. We're back. All right, 3:32, time for Who's In, Who's Out, brought to you by Jenkins & Sons Plumbing and Heating for HVAC plumbing or drain cleaning. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com. Who's in, who's out, 14 NFL playoff teams. Here we go. AFC East, Patriots.
Absolutely.
They've won 10 in a row. They do play the Bills again coming up. That could change things. North, I've been going Baltimore. I'm going to stick with Baltimore, but I don't feel great. I don't feel great about Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati's still 2 back.
I mean, it's gonna be the Ravens or the Steelers. I got a problem with both teams right now. I think both teams look so bad this weekend that
That Cincinnati win over Baltimore didn't do anything for you.
Cincinnati, if they weren't so far back, I'd go Cincinnati.
They're 2 back.
I would need them to be 1 or 1.5 back. 2
Okay,
back.
they play Buffalo. They play Baltimore, Miami, Arizona, Cleveland.
If they start going on a run, then yes. But I don't believe they're going to win all those games.
Okay. Well, I got Baltimore. I went to Baltimore a couple weeks ago. I'm going to stick with Baltimore.
Okay.
The South. I mean, Jacksonville, Indy are both tied, and Houston's 1 game back. I see me like Houston the best.
I am going Houston. I love that defense. And by the way, that's an example of a team that's made adjustments in season. Their offense was putrid to begin the year, and they have found their groove in the last couple of weeks.
Defense 198 they've given up this year.
They're incredible.
They won 4 in a row. They're a game back. I'll go Houston as well in the South. I got Denver.
Me too. We've been in Denver pretty consistently this year.
Wild cards.
This is where it gets interesting.
This is where it gets a little touchy right now. All right. I'm going Buffalo.
Me too.
I don't know what to do here.
Well, I would say you should put the Chargers in for this reason. What they did this past weekend showed that they've kind of recalibrated. And once you recalibrate as a team,
Well, they got Philadelphia and Dallas coming up.
and I think they could win in potentially both those games.
Woo. Not good if you're an Eagles fan.
Nope. But good if you're a Chargers fan.
They beat the Raiders, though.
So did Dallas.
I'm just saying, like, the Chargers recalibrated against the Raiders. Is that a recalibration, or does that team just stink?
Both.
Okay. Well, it's hard. Like, I think Indianapolis is out.
Yeah, I'm going the Jags.
Yeah, I got Indy out of the 7.
I think Shane Steichen has hit a wall right now. He's
lost the quarterback's ability to move. So now you got him just basically a statue back there because he broke his freaking leg.
Exactly.
And then you lost the guy you traded for on defense. Sauce Gardner is the guy you traded for to improve the biggest weakness of your team. Now he's gone.
Yeah.
I got Indy out.
Yeah. Now, by the way, Sauce Gardner can come back. We're not saying that
Yeah, but he's going to miss a week or two.
He's going to miss at least a week or two.
A game here or there could be the difference.
Exactly.
I got Buffalo. I got Jacksonville. And I guess I'm going to go Chargers.
There you go.
That means Kansas City's out, Pittsburgh's out, Indy's out.
Kansas City losing to Dallas on Thanksgiving is a huge blow for them because they're starting to come around.
Yeah, Cincinnati has only got a shot and they don't have a wild card shot.
Nope.
They are 4 back in the wild card, but they're only 2 back in that division. So, by the way, Miami is actually they're only 3 back. They're ahead of Cincinnati in the wild card.
That is correct.
Crazy. All right, NFC East.
I guess go the Eagles.
Going Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Holding on. But I am in that percentage that thinks this is going to get interesting. Chicago plays Green Bay and Detroit. They play Green Bay twice?
I thought they already played Green Bay.
No, I think the Bears play Green Bay. Yes, they play twice. They play this week and then again in 2 weeks.
Oh, so they're like Philadelphia and Washington.
And then they play Detroit on the last week of the year, and they play San Francisco. They got a brutal schedule coming up, the Bears. But if you believe in them, they can push everybody behind them. What do you got?
Right now, I believe. For now, I believe. Check back next week.
I haven't been a biggest Green Bay guy either, but they do have a really good defense. So I think you definitely have to consider Green Bay, and they do play the Bears twice. Let's just say they split with the Bears. They've already got the Lions out of the way. They play Denver. They play Chicago, Denver, Chicago, Baltimore, Minnesota. Whew. That's a tough slate, man. I don't love Green Bay. I'm not sure about the Bears. I don't think the Lions. I think the Lions are done. But the Lions, who play Dallas, the Rams, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, I don't think there's enough there. I'm going to go with Chicago. Going to go with Chicago in the north. South, this one's really interesting. Tampa, Carolina. Who you got?
I'm going Tampa for now because I think that long-term they're the better team.
Carolina plays New Orleans, Tampa, Seattle, Tampa. They have 4 games left. They have a bye this week.
Right.
So they have 4 games left. New Orleans, Tampa. So that game that's going to be decided on the field. And by the way, the last game of the year is at Tampa. For that reason, I'm going Tampa. Because if it comes down to it, I think Tampa at home, just enough. By the way, Tampa plays New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami, Carolina.
If you have to have an end-of-season schedule, that's not a bad one to have.
So I'm going Tampa. I like the Rams, although it's 9-3 Rams, 9-3 Seattle, 9-4 49ers.
Rams are the better team. They lost to the Panthers because of styles make fights.
Wild cards.
Seattle, 49ers, Packers.
That's the 3 right now. You don't think any changes?
Those are my 3 because I think the 49ers are just a better team than some of the other teams. I like Carolina, but the fact the 49ers already have 9 wins on the year,
And Seattle has 9 as well.
It's hard to see Carolina getting in if they don't win the division.
Seattle plays Atlanta, Indianapolis, the Rams, Carolina, and San Francisco. I got at least 3 wins there for them. That gets them to 12.
Right.
And I don't think anybody else behind them gets to 12.
No.
Like the Dallases of the world, the Detroits of the world. I think I'm with you. I think those are the 3.
It's a math problem, basically.
Well, the math problem for like Dallas, for instance. Dallas has 6 wins. They are 3 wins behind that whole group. The interesting is they tied Green Bay, and Green Bay has 8 wins. But that Green Bay tie has them ahead of San Francisco because they only have 3 losses and San Francisco has 4. But if Dallas and Green Bay ended up with the same record, then what are you going to? Because Green Bay is 6-2-1 in the conference and Dallas is 3-4-1. I would think that conference is a common opponent. What's that next one? Because is it like head-to-head common opponents? Is that the next one? Because the conference record,
so here's
Dallas gets beat.
So it's head-to-head is number 1.
And they tied.
Number 2 is best win-loss tie percentage in games played within the conference, so conference record.
Okay, so Green Bay would beat them there. So that's where Dallas has another problem. If Dallas can't catch Philly and they're trying to catch someone, Green Bay tied them but owns a big tiebreaker. Green Bay is 6-2-1 in the conference. Dallas is 3-4-1.
Well, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, so Dallas has a big uphill battle now. Dallas is 3 wins behind San Francisco with 5 to play, and they're 3 wins behind Seattle with 5 to play. Their best option, I think, is got to be catching Philadelphia.
I will say 4 of Dallas's next 5 games are against NFC opponents, so they can improve that conference record.
Yeah, but then you're also hoping that you need the Packers to
fall apart somewhere.
And that would be the only way to catch them is if they start to fall apart. And, yeah, I mean, Dallas has a really tough road outside of catching Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I think Detroit's out of gas.
It's sad to say, but yes, I think Detroit, they're going to be feisty by the end of the year, but they're going to be playing spoiler down the stretch.
There you go. 609-403-0950. 0973. That's who's in, who's out. It's brought to you by Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning. For HVAC, plumbing, or drain cleaning, 609-641-6262. Visit jenkinsandson.com. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. When we come back, it's the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. What's the cause of the problem for the Eagles offense?
I thought the identity of this team was going to be run-first outfit. Year over year, they rank in the bottom third of the league in terms of passing attempts because they want to run the football. They want to lean into the offensive line and being physical, being rugged, being tough. Well, on Black Friday, you got bullied by the Chicago Bears in your home stadium. That's an embarrassment. And if that doesn't create urgency to get things fixed, I don't know what will.
Chris Canty, the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. It's brought to you by Whitehorse RV. Find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. Shop now before they're gone. Whitehorse RV, your RV adventure starts here. Yeah, the anemic rushing attack is the cause of the problem here. You know, we played a lot of audio before from Michelle Smallman talking about the lack of identity. Their identity has been a rushing team, and they can't run the ball. So they need to find a new identity. What would that identity be, though? What would the identity best serve this team? That's what I really want to know. Okay? You could say they don't have an identity, their running game is the problem. Then are they a pass-first offense? And you might say, well, then they have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Why should they be a pass? Like, people have wondered that the entire time that Brown and Smith have been here. People have wondered, why don't you get more from them? Well, you've been such a good running team, and they don't want to turn the ball over. So do you sacrifice the potential of turning the ball over to become a pass-first offense?
You don't have to, because if you do what other people have said you should do, you don't have to. For example, Nick Foles, we played the audio earlier where he said, get back to fundamentals. Stop spreading the team out so far in the pass formations. You can pass the ball out of 11 personnel. You can pass the ball out of 12 personnel. You don't have to pass the ball out of 4 or 5 receiver formations. That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of people who know football. We mentioned Orlowski. I've seen Brian Baldinger talk about this. I've seen other guys talk about this. Why don't you run the ball with the quarterback under center a little more? Give the defense a different look than they're used to when it comes to the running game. There's nothing wrong with doing something a little different. And by the way, that's a fundamental concept.
Brought that up yesterday. They did go under center more, and that was a tweak that they have made to their offense.
And by the way, those two of the best runs they had on Black Friday, the 15-yard and the 17-yard run by Saquon, they came from under center. So maybe do that more.
Well,
more under center, less shotgun.
Don't have a problem with that. I mean, anything that can certainly tweak the run game and make it a little bit more prosperous. But his point that he makes there, the anemic rushing attack is the root cause. It is. And their unwillingness to try to get out of it. It's almost like this has been our identity, and we're unwilling to change that identity.
Right.
That's the problem.
The stubbornness.
Because it almost feels like you do have another gear. They could, like there are times where they could throw the football and like, hey, we get into a rhythm when we speed up the offense, right? A little hurry up. You can't go hurry up the whole game, but filter it in when your team's struggling a little bit. Hey, you know what? We went 3 and out last time. Let's get up on the ball and let's go, go, go.
Let's remind people what Nick Foles said again. This is from the season podcast when he talked about they need to get back to fundamentals with the offense.
How can we make this a cohesive, rhythmic unit that has a simple idea? Listen, go back to simple identity of formations and your running, play action, passing, trick plays, screens out of similar looks so the defense can't key like on third down, getting into more bunches with receivers to help with release patterns, to confuse the defense, they're too spread out.
That part at the end when he said they're too spread out, Mike, is a big deal to me because that's a good question. Why don't they run a little more simpler packages? Why do they have to have 4 or 5 receivers out there?
Well, one thing we haven't seen a lot of is the athleticism that we used to see from the offensive line. Guys pulling, getting out in front. Used to see the center a lot of times, Jason Kelsey or Juergens in the past, snap the ball. He would get out and be the guy that would be the lead blocker on a play so that the running back could follow him
through the hole.
The field.
Right.
And we don't see that play. I don't know if that has to do with Juergens' injury issues.
It might have to do with Juergens' injury issues. Now, I would ask, though, now they don't have Lane Johnson, there's other ways to do that. Instead of having the guard pull across or the center pull across, you could do a slide run. That kind of like that off-tackle slide where you have everybody just moving in a direction. You could always do that. Again, I'm not in the meeting room, so I don't know. Has that been suggested? Or they're not running it? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know how much the injuries to the offensive line are limiting how they call plays. The injuries to the Eagles' offensive line, how much that is affecting the way they can call plays. And again, I go back to me, the execution is a higher issue than the play caller. Because there are plays to be made. And when you're, listen, in a game when you have, this last game you only had 50 plays. But let's say you're in your normal like 60, 65. When you have 60, 65 plays, throughout the course of a game, there's only going to be about 18 to maybe 25 of them that you are going to be successful in.
Right.
Most plays you're not all that successful. When I say not successful, 4 yards and less. Anything over that, you're just like, hey, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. When the defense doesn't call the right play to match up what you call, you got to take advantage, and they don't take advantage enough when they have the right call on.
Exactly.
I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Hey, Paul Hudrick's going to talk some Sixers with us at 5:30 tonight. Right after Nick Nurse speaks, we'll get an update on who's in and who's out tonight. The last we heard, Joel Embiid was out. That could change apparently at any time. Also, will Paul George play tonight? You know who always plays? Maxey. Maxey always plays. You don't have to worry about that. Oh, he took a shot last night. The guy was chasing him, was trying to block the shot, and his foot slipped out from under him. He went sliding, took Maxey out with him. That was a scary moment in the game. Is this sustainable for Maxey? Well, that is something to be concerned about. Can he keep playing all these minutes? But coming up, it's Adam Caplan for Football at 4. That's next. Don't go away.
to watch Chicago go in there and physically, offensively do what they did to Philadelphia's defense, it felt like a defense that knows the offense right now is not good, and they were just holding on. I have not seen anybody push around the Philadelphia Eagles defense the way that Chicago did. And so you're watching this defense almost like break. There's nothing left for us to do. We've tried to keep us in games as long as we can.
That was Dan Orlovsky talking about the defense. Is there concerns with the defense? Is it a one-time issue? And he was talking about it like, hey, we're doing everything we can, but you're not holding up your end of the bargain, offense. We're going to get into that and more. Is there concerns with the defense? So much about the offense has been discussed, but let's talk about the defense. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. And, he talked about how physically beat up the Eagles got by that Bears team. Is there a concern with this defense, or is it a one-time thing, Adam Caplan?
No, that's what I put in my notes. It's a great question because it's the reality of it. This defensive performance might came out of nowhere. Their defense is playing such a high level for a while now, and even better with Jalen Phillips. So then, Mike, they got manhandled. We talked about this, Jeff Mosher and I talked about this on our post-game show. Not only did they get moved a lot, the lack of discipline up front, they got moved off the ball. It was crazy to see them being powered by the Bears offensive line. I know that the Bears have a brand new interior of their offensive line, 2 guys who are acquired by trade. Senator Drew Dolman was signed in free agency, but they got manhandled. This doesn't happen. I believe on your question, and I wanted to address this, we won't truly know until we see what they look like against the Chargers Monday night. I expect them to be fired up. I strongly believe, based on the coaching, which is typically outstanding, I expect them to come out really well. And we'll talk more about this on Friday, Mike, but I think it's a one-time thing based on what I know about how they're coached. Clint Hurtt's a phenomenal defensive line coach. Was once a defensive coordinator for Seattle, coached with Vic and with the Bears. Vic, you know how great of a coach he is and how great their staff is. Their front seven was by far the worst that they've played, Mike, since they've been here. I mean, it was awful, Mike, in 2 years that Vic has been here with his staff. So I know Dan Orlovsky very well. I just couldn't disagree more. It's not like mentally, we're sick and tired of having to carry the load here, so we're just going to quit. No, that didn't happen. So it's just, but I do say this though, and maybe Dan meant this: the linebackers and some of the assignments on the front, Mike, they did some things they normally wouldn't do. They didn't play their gaps correctly. I wouldn't say there was hero ball, but they had a lack of discipline in that game. The tape showed it. I mean, I'm telling you, I know that for a fact, and that is a concern. And we've not seen that before from this group.
Well, they have allowed 348 yards through the air to the Cowboys, then 281 yards on the ground to Chicago. So they're getting beat in both aspects. 898 yards allowed over the last 2 games. It's the second most it's allowed in any 2 games in the Sirianni era. So they're getting beat by land and by sea, it feels like.
Well, in the Dallas game, let's not forget, Dallas is behind. They had to throw. Yes, Eagles got them. They got hit hard. And obviously Jackson got hurt in that game. We know that. So, and they got handled there. And Caleb Williams, by the way, that was probably his worst game. I know the wind was bad. He didn't throw the ball well. Hurts didn't throw the ball well. The passing games, as I told you Friday, might be a problem. It was. Or whenever we did our Football 4 last week, is on Wednesday. I said the weather's probably going to be bad. It was. But, Mike, as we move forward here, it's just a one-game situation. There's no reason to think, based on the way they coach and based on the effort of the players, usually prior to this game, that this is going to be something we're really concerned about. There's no reason to think that because it's not happened before, but it's certainly on my radar to keep an eye on.
So the defense, a one-time issue. Okay, they got the Chargers coming up. By the way, Justin Herbert with that broken hand. We'll see what his status looks like when Adam's back on Friday's show. So everyone's talking about the defense. What can we expect with this offense going forward? What is missing offensively? Everything.
Yeah. Well, all right, I'm going to start for the one thing. We forgot to talk about this in the shame on us. It's a small thing, but it's big with Tank Bigsby. I don't understand what? Like, you're having trouble moving the football, particularly running it. No one's suggesting who has a brain that he should be taking over the starting job. But why would you not give Bigsby a little bit more of a role? I just don't understand it. I don't understand. You can't give him 6 to 8 carries when you can't run the football. That, to me, is bad coaching. I mean, Mike, Barkley was okay in this game. Over 4 yards of carries, better than he has been for most of the season. But they need to use him as a change-up. Bigsby is such a contrast in styles. I was flabbergasted. Like, what are you guys doing here? You have trouble scoring. It's windy. You can't throw it. Do better, man. That's the stuff that Patullo and Sirianni control. That's inexcusable to me that he didn't get more work.
Well, yeah, he had 9 carries in that game against the Giants, and really since then you would think, maybe, look, he added a little spark to this run game at over 100 yards. They have really – I don't think he has 9 carries total since that game.
Ridiculous, Mike. That's bad coaching to me. That again, control the controllables. They have control over that. Everyone who's an Eagles fan knows this. Bigsby's got some juice. He gives up. Why did they make the trade then? And by the way, he's not even – and we told you it was nonsense that some of the reporters were putting out that they brought him in to be a kickoff returner. It was complete nonsense. That would be part of it. They wanted him because A.J. Dillon, that turned out to be correct. A.J. Dillon was not good enough. He wasn't consistent enough, and now he's been benched. And A.J. Dillon's not a good enough kickoff returner anyway. By the way, Dillon's on a 1-year deal. Bigsby has this year and next year left. So he can play, man. I mean, you got to get something out of the guy. And I don't – this is just bad. This is just not good coaching.
What do we think about Adam Caplan, football at 4 here, getting Hurts a little bit more comfortable? How can they get that possibly to get his confidence going?
Yeah, and I've talked to you, Mike, ad nauseum, really now for 2 seasons. Kellen Moore didn't do a good job of this till late in the season. Getting Hurts comfort early in games, get him comfortable with easy passes. That's got to happen. But the other 2 things I'm going to add here, continue with the changeup of Hurts under center. Boy, that did really well. More of tempo like that as well. And the design runs, listen, we'll never know for sure. I'm not going to even speculate because I don't know. Nobody else knows. If Hurts said he doesn't want to, like McNabb, what I had heard back obviously when he was an Eagle, in the second half of his career with the Eagles, that he didn't want to run as much. And plus, McNabb had been beat up with several injuries over his career. So, and he didn't want to run as much as what I was told back then. This is going back, obviously, a couple of decades. But with Hurts, don't know, but man, and he definitely adds something. They seem to only do it in the gun run on a clear, and it's worked, by the way, in those gun runs on shotgun with empty sets. Like with empty, that means 5 wide, no one in the backfield. He's got a Red Sea parting, Mike. It's actually really worked pretty well.
Yeah, and I would like to see Adam, let's say they go 3 and out, and that happens every now and then, not the rate that they generally do. Hey, we went 3 and out last series. Let's run a little tempo. Let's run a little hurry up after going, They don't seem to have a little change of pace at all. They don't run the screen game at all. That's another way they can get creative and get guys touches.
Another thing in my notes, Mike, when they've run it, it's actually not been too bad. We've said on our offense on around the league when we talk to people on our show that people we talk to said it's a bad offense, it's a bad scheme. Well, again, this is something they control, Mike. They do very little that other teams do that is just normal. It has nothing to do with Sean McVay and trying to be different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just staples of an NFL offense in the 20th century. I just don't understand this. Don't give me that Hurts can't handle it. That's nonsense. I'm not buying the vanilla stuff anymore with, you can only do certain stuff with Hurts. There's certain things any NFL starting quarterback can do. Or, by the way, you shouldn't be playing if you feel you can't do it.
Is there, Sirianni said everybody will be evaluated, all the stuff, and then it's, hey, you made the evaluations. Are there any changes? I don't know what they could change. Is there any change player, something they could do, even something on a minor level that might unlock something here?
Well, look, a coach from another team gave me something really interesting. He doesn't know Sirianni, but he said when coaches are struggling, sometimes, and I'm not saying Nick is doing this to be clear, sometimes they limit how much access the coaches have to the quarterback, where maybe sometimes there are too many voices. We talked about this in 2020, Mike, on Football 4 on our platform as well, that it was Marty Morningweg, believe it or not. I don't know if you know this. Marty was a quarterback consultant for Hurts. He was actually there. He was with the quarterbacks, but working a lot with Hurts in 2020. All these guys that they have, Rich Scangarello, who I debate whether even Peterson wanted him. Too many cooks in the kitchen. So maybe it's a great question, Mike. Maybe he's got a limit. Maybe he's got to just limit this stuff and just come up with a couple people involved and just get Hurts going here. But Mike, they are 8-4. They're a game and a half up. I know Dallas has got momentum now. Those trades are working out for them. But they're healthy on offense, Mike, other than Lane Johnson. This is absolutely embarrassing. And as one coach from another team told me, he used to work for the Eagles, who said that Jeffrey Lurie must be embarrassed and upset about what he's seeing because he wants a world-class offense. He's getting anti-world-class here.
He's getting a good ACJFL football offense. By the way, a couple of quick notes. Darius Slay has been released by the Steelers. Any interest there, or they do have a need at?
Let me go inside. Yeah, let me explain. Okay, so here's what I'm told. He was benched. He didn't play last week. He's healthy. One source told me he didn't really fit their scheme. It's Mike Tomlin's defensive scheme that they're running there. Mike doesn't run it, but someone else is running it for him. But it's just he didn't really fit. He doesn't move all that well. He's near the end. He's definitely lost a step. Now, he obviously knows the system from Fangio. He obviously won a Super Bowl with it. He's near the end, Mike. If he clears waivers now, one person said to me, it would not be surprising if he took the deal that Adam Thielen got to be released because he has to be released slated, that he has to take a pay cut. You know, he's making $11 million, which is prorated. But to get released, typically, they're going to ask you to take a pay cut. Oh, we're doing you a favor? Well, we're going to release you. Then you got to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
That could actually make his contract more claimable. He's subject to waivers. Every player who's cut, including vested veterans, are subject to waivers after the trade deadline. So, Mike, here's the thing, though. If you're the Eagles, well, first of all, you'd rather him. You wouldn't want to claim him. You'd rather just bring him in and sign him to your practice squad. Why? Because that way you don't keep him when you're 53 unless you know what he looks like. That way there's no monetary. All he gets is a practice squad salary. But we're looking into it. But Mike, if I'm Howie, what is the harm? He's a good teammate. I know he turns 35 in January. He's the oldest cornerback in the National Football League by far. But what do they have to lose at this point? Jackson's not good enough. We know that. What do they have to lose by bringing him in and taking a look at him?
All right, good inside stuff there. By the way, it just announced December 20th, Philadelphia, Washington. That will be a 5 o'clock kickoff. That is the Saturday game against the Commanders, a 5 p.m. kickoff. Adam Caplan, everybody. Back on Friday. We'll get you ready for the Eagles and the Chargers. Thanks, Adam.
You got it. Thank you.
There he is, Adam Caplan. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. So that just came down. Eagles-Commanders will be a 5 o'clock game on Saturday, December the 20th. That's the game at Washington. That is not the game that if you won the tickets for 99 bottles, that is not that game. This is the game at Washington. Although, did we not do a giveaway to send someone to Washington? Was that this year? No. We sent someone to the Giant game. Yeah. The Steelers and Darius Slay have mutually agreed to part ways. Slay's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, told ESPN Slay is interested in continuing to play. He will consider signing with other teams, but his time in Pittsburgh has come to an end. You know, Adam just said he's subjective to waivers. That would be the first thing. If he goes through the waiver process and nobody claims him, you could bring him back in. The Steelers are signing, you ready for this one, Asante Samuel Jr. from their practice squad to the active roster. He had been lobbying that he was ready from this neck problem. Would you rather Asante Samuel Jr. or Darius Slay?
I'm going to assume that if the Eagles thought Samuel Jr. was healthy enough, they would have signed him long ago. But there was a lot of questions about how healthy he was, how not healthy he was, how the neck injury was progressing.
You know the second, too, that Slay gets released everybody is like, reunion, bring him back, sign him. He's 35 years old.
Yeah, and Adam said he's the oldest corner in the league.
By far.
But it gives you an idea of like how odd it is that he's still hanging around.
By the way, the news on Tyson Forrester is not good.
Ooh.
Did you see that last night?
I saw it last night, but I didn't hear the news today.
Well, I was watching the game when that happened, and you couldn't tell what happened off the play. I mean, he just took a slap shot, and then
he was off the ice.
He will be out 2 to 3 months.
Oh, no.
Upper body injury. Of course, the Flyers, they never tell you, but it says an upper body injury from Danny Briere. And that's a huge loss.
That's a blow.
How do you think front desk Nate feels?
I think he's devastated.
Should be. That's a big loss for a fun team.
I mean, you could argue he was one of the 5 most fun players on the fun team.
Yeah, he's been having a lot of impact, and that's a big loss.
The thing with Forrester also is that it wasn't just his scoring, it was his style of play. He was pushing the pace when he was on the ice. He just brought a level of energy. And now without him, I mean, I don't know how you're replacing that.
By the way, so I told you, Eagles, Commanders, 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Kind of wrecks a lot of havoc into that day. That's the same day as the college football playoffs.
Yes, that, and also the fact that my working assumption was there was going to be a 4 o'clock and an 8 o'clock, but now they're doing 5 and 8:20.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a little different than what I expected.
Yeah, because you got college football playoffs at noon, 4 and 8. You're going to get the Eagles and whoever else is the other Saturday game that week. I don't know.
It's going to be, I think it's a Packers. I just saw it. Yeah, so Packers-Bears will be 8:20. So it'll be Eagles, Commanders, then Packers-Bears.
Mm-hmm. Now, when they put those 2 games on Saturday, they're both on Fox.
Yeah.
The doubleheader. Do you think Fox looked at that and said, we got the NFC Championship game rematch, or we have Green Bay against a team that finished in last week? Which game do you think they thought was going to be in prime time?
Probably the rematch.
Probably the Eagles-Washington. And now all of a sudden you're like, all right, that one's going to be a
So
tie.
does that mean Brady Burkhardt are going to get the Packers-Bears game?
Most likely.
And then, does that mean we have to get Greg Olsen on the Eagles game?
I would guess so.
That would be better for us, actually.
I would guess so. I think Brady's doing a better job this year.
He's doing better this year, but you can tell that, no offense to Burkhardt, but he's got limitations.
I actually listened to a lot of Adam Amin and Drew Brees the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was what the game was on locally, right? That was the Carolina Rams game. I was driving home. I called St. Joe Princeton in Trenton.
Right.
So that game was at 1 o'clock. By the time the game was over, it was like 3:30. I got in the car, so I saw like the last fourth quarter of the game, and I got a chance to hear Adam Amin. He should be the number 2 guy. He's better than Joe Davis.
Really good, yeah. Oh, he's definitely better than Joe Davis.
You can make an argument that Amin's better than Burkhardt.
I would make that argument. I think Burkhardt is a little overrated.
Yeah, he's very. It's tough because he's working with Brady, who's new.
Burkhardt's generic. Burkhardt is like, you know who Burkhardt is? He's the number 3 starter on your pitching staff. He's got solid stuff, but he doesn't blow you away.
Ranger Suarez?
I think Ranger Suarez is better than Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, that's what you just described. He's the number 3 guy on your staff. He doesn't have great stuff. He doesn't blow you away.
To me, he's like Charlie Morton in his prime. He's solid. He's good. But no one's excited.
I will
about
say
him.
it's probably tough for him working with Brady, who doesn't have the. Now Amin works with Breeze the other day, who doesn't have any experience, and I thought that was the best game that Breeze had, and Breeze is not good. By the way, tonight, Hard Knocks NFC East.
Yes, one of my assignments today was I had to figure out through everything else how am I signing up for this HBO Max subscription.
How do I do it?
Well, I'm still figuring that out personally because.
By the way, what time is that?
I think it drops around 8, but once it's on Max, you can stream it any time.
Okay. Because the Sixers play.
Yeah, but you can stream it at any point.
I know. I'm just saying. I didn't know like what time it is. Like, can I watch the Sixers and then is it like because sometimes those HBO sports type of things are 10 o'clockers. It's 9 o'clock.
That's when it drops?
Yep. Go deep with Jackson Dart tonight, then go deeper with Hard Knocks in season with the NFC East tomorrow at 9.
So
on
according
HBO
to this,
Max.
Every episode each week will debut at 9 p.m. each Tuesday.
Yep. Tune in to Hard Knocks in season with the NFC East for the best rivalries in football Tuesday.
Well, I have 4 hours to figure out what I'm doing with my HBO Max subscription because apparently,
is there like a free month? Anybody have any insight on this?
So,
HBO Max, do they do any free trials? Anything
I have
like
not
that?
seen any
because
free
the thing
trials.
goes from December to the end of the year.
Right.
So, like, if Dallas goes to the Super Bowl, I'll get those people all warm and fuzzy. If Dallas goes to the Super Bowl, the Hard Knocks would go all the way to the Super Bowl?
Correct.
Okay. What they did the AFC North last year.
Yes.
Now, if I get HBO Max, can I watch that?
What?
Last year's.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll sign up for the Max for the 2 months.
My working
What's it,
theory.
$7.99? What are they charging? $12.99?
Oh, it's. Let me pull it up again. I was looking at it this morning. I was so annoyed that they didn't have a free deal. So if you want to get
you
with
think they're going to give a free deal when they know they got this coming out?
Listen, they're going to suck every dime out of suckers like me they can. So it's $10.99 a month for the basic with commercials. It is.
Wait, say that again?
So it's $10.99 a month for the basic with commercials.
What's the basic? Does that include that?
So basic is it includes the HBO Max, but you don't get the sports streaming, the live sports streaming. You just get the all the stuff that's already on there. But you got to watch commercials with it.
But you get NFC East.
Yes.
You just don't get any live sports? What the hell's on? Oh, the TNT stuff.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So if you pay for the standard, which is $8 more a month, you get ad-free, so no ads.
Okay.
And live sports, you are allowed to stream on 2 devices at once, and you can download 30 things to watch, when you're not near internet. The premium is $22.99 a month. It includes 4K, Ultra HD, 100 downloads. You can stream on 4 devices at once. So I don't need that. But I'm waffling back and forth between the $10.99 and the $18.
I don't want commercials.
So you got to pay $18.49 a month.
That could probably is it worth paying $36, for the HBO show, the Hard Knock show? Is that show worth $40?
I kind of think for us it is.
It has to be. I mean, tomorrow I got to talk about what happened on that show if they do anything that's related to the Eagles.
Even if it's moderately related to the Eagles, we got to talk about it.
And if I'm HBO, the only thing I'm focusing on right now is what the heck's wrong with the Super Bowl champions. Now, Dallas is going to be in the mix because they've turned it around.
They're Dallas.
Yeah.
They're also Dallas.
But Washington,
I think HBO Max
what
also.
kind of story does Washington have? I mean, obviously the quarterback getting hurt.
Right. Their story is that their season had so much promise and it fell apart. Terry McLaurin.
Same with the Giants. I mean, but I don't know, when did they start filming? Did they start filming when
They start filming in training camp.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the way it works is, the in-season, they give you kind of like a, hey, here's what happened before leading up to this episode. And then they have every episode has like a subject or a topic. Like last year, they had one episode just about Jameis Winston on Thursday Night Football game. That big game that he won with the Browns. And it was like leading up to the game, like the whole season. They had another episode where it was like, man, the Bengals season has gone sideways, and here's why it went sideways.
All right, we'll get the Nuggets next. Earnshaw's back. If you have a way, the ins and outs of the HBO Max, is there a deal? Is there something? Let me know. 609-403-0973. I got to get the HBO Max tonight. Sixers tonight. They take on the Wizards. You can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN. All right, let's get into today's edition of Nick's Nuggets on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe, like, share, be a part of the show. Some news today, Darius Slay released by the Steelers. Also, the December 20th Eagles game will be a 5 o'clock kickoff. Tyson Forrester out 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 months, excuse me. And then the Sixers tonight, they take on the Wizards on 97.3 ESPN. Looks like no Joel Embiid, but of course that could change within the hour here based on what we had. Paul Hudrick, by the way, joins us in 1 hour right now. He's the host of Nernshaw Radio Monday nights and, of course, the Shift podcast and producer of The Locker Room right here on 97.3 ESPN. He's Nick Earnshaw.
What's going on, Mike Gill? Good to be with you on this gloomy Tuesday. A lot going on right now. The Darius Slay news, very fascinating. Could the Eagles rectify that mistake? Remember, they went out and got Fred Johnson, traded for him back, got him back, right? Could they rectify the second quarterback spot and bring Darius Slay home? I know he's 35. He struggled, didn't really have a fit in that scheme over there with the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. So you never know. You never know. And, who doesn't love a homecoming in this city? It feels like anytime there's a player like this, who doesn't love a homecoming, Mike?
It's amazing to me that something like this always happens. Guy gets released. Next thing you know, bring him back, re-signing, reunite. 35 years old, was a healthy scratch last week. Has not really had all that great of a season. That Pittsburgh team has been a mess. Is he better than Adoree Jackson is really the question. Would he be an upgrade over Adoree? Would have him, what kind of impact and role did he have in that locker room the last couple of years since he has been in Philadelphia? And you would wonder, is his play comparable to what you're getting or even better than Adoree Jackson?
Well, you just hope it's more than Jair Alexander than what he gave you, because they essentially gone. As soon as they trade for him, gone. Not here. Gone.
Well, if you kick the tires on Jair Alexander, is it worth then to say, I'm going to do the same with a guy that we know even better?
You might as well, right? What do you have to lose if you bring him back? Seriously, what do you have to lose if you bring him back? He's won a Super Bowl with you. He's been to a couple, was a big leader on this team, was a captain at one point on the Philadelphia Eagles. So bring him back. Why not? You can throw him into the mix. It can't hurt. It can't hurt. At this point, it can't hurt. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever, Mike. Not opposed to anything. Sending guys up into the booth, bringing old guys back. I'm all for it. I'm all for it at this point with the way things are going at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I think you can at least bring him in, see if he's got. There's nothing that hurts with this one here. 35 years old. Yeah.
He can give you something. Maybe.
A team that stinks defensively right now, too, by the way. They've been getting their lunch handed to them. So you wonder. Now, Adam was on with us earlier. He said one of the things that he has heard that he just was not a good fit for Tomlin's defense.
Yeah. That's what I've read too. And you could tell by the way he played this year. It just was not a fit in Pittsburgh. Remember, there was some talk. He went on those Detroit Lions podcasts in the offseason, so that was fascinating. He could always end up back in Detroit. So who knows? He might have a homecoming in two different spots.
And they could use some help. They're banged up.
Could. Yeah, so Detroit could be an option too. He could go back there where he spent a majority of the early part of his career. All right, let's move along. Let's get into these Nuggets. I want to touch on the poll question. You put it out today, and it's, are you concerned about winning the NFC East, or is the division title secure? Who wins the NFC East? I think the Eagles will still win. I'm with the majority at 71% at the moment right now. But there's two players I think that might need to get more involved because of this, right? And maybe help them get to that division title back-to-back, first time in over 20 years, right? There's two players I'm just saying, where on earth are they at? I heard you bring it up with Caplan earlier, one being Tank Bigsby, the other being Jahad Campbell. Where on earth are these guys, okay? They should be integral parts of this team. Jahad Campbell, listen, the Kobe Dean came back and essentially took over his entire snap count, all right? If you look at the way he has gone down the list over the past couple games, you start at week 7, okay? Week 7 is the mark. He played 87% of the snaps, Jahad Campbell did. Since then, 40.4%, 50%, 33.9%, 14.9%. And then last week, 0.0. He played 25% of the snaps on special teams. However, played 0% on defense. So he has gone missing. He is not part of this defense right now, which is interesting. They bring in Jalen Phillips off the edge, right? Nakobe Dean comes back, kicks Jahad Campbell to the curb, and they were playing well with Jahad Campbell. So that's one guy who's gone missing. And by the way, he's still top 10. Whatever you think of PFF, he's still top 10 in coverage grade and tackling grade. Top 10 in the NFL. So at his positions. That's something that should be looked at. Why is Jahad Campbell not getting any snaps on defense right now? That's fascinating. Number 2.
Well, I would answer that question by saying Dean was the better. Their run defense improved significantly, statistically speaking, when Dean entered the lineup. They showed those run yards per rush against the defense when Dean was there and when Campbell was there. I don't think. Listen,
in coverage though, in coverage, Jahad Campbell's pretty good. Top 10 in coverage grade right now, according to PFF.
Well, I'm saying I'm not watching these games and saying, oh man, they're getting crushed by the coverage linebacker here. Like he's really letting as much as I like Campbell, and it's kind of stinks that you drafted a guy in the first round and he was playing well, I don't think there's a big drop-off or impact of him not playing. I think that's more of, well, he was our first-round pick, so he has to play. And it's like they're not slipping because he's not there. Like, what are we talking about here?
If he's not, he had one of the top tackling grades in the league, and they've struggled to tackle, too. That's been a problem.
Is Nakobe Dean struggling to tackle?
Not saying necessarily just the Kobe D, but you got to find a spot for him somewhere.
Well, what's he going to do? Play safety?
0.0, Mike. It's gone from 87% in week 7. I understand the Kobe Dean's back, but something. You got to give the kid a chance here. He can make an impact on defense. I
agree,
know.
but I'm just saying I don't think that
where is he?
I'm not saying he can't make an impact. I'm just saying I haven't noticed that he's not out there. It's not like I'm like, oh my God, how come they're not playing Campbell? He's not better against the run than Dean. You're talking about the passing thing. Where is the passing game where you're like, they keep matching up with our linebackers and we have a better guy? That's not happening either.
Tackling grade. They've had trouble tackling.
Tackling grade, but you're talking about a guy who plays linebacker. Okay, then there's 2 options to replace. I'm going to ask you the question. Tackling. He's not a safety. He's not a corner. He doesn't play D-line. So his 2 guys that he would replace in tackling, Bond or Dean, which one?
But it would be Dean. It would be Dean. Rotate Dean. Give him just some snaps. And that's the thing with Tank, too, is I'm saying on both sides of the ball, they're not utilizing everybody. I thought the whole thing with the defense was they were going to get guys rest at times, right? And rotate guys in and out. Why aren't they doing that with Jahad Campbell, who is not a big drop-off with Dean? Remember, Dean has had injury problems in the past. You want to give him a rest a little bit sometimes and mix and match these guys on defense? Something. Give a different look to the opposing offenses, because now you're struggling. Now you're struggling overall as a defense.
This one's go-go gadget. This is a reach. Minimal, if any, impact.
I don't think it's a reach. He had 0.0 snaps last week against the Bears. Let's see something. Now I want to bring up the Tank.
But my question is, I gave him 10 snaps. How is that game different?
You never know. Could he force a fumble? Could he force a turnover? He's a better tackler. Could he stop a guy from getting a first down? Something. He can make a difference.
The stats say otherwise. The team's defense against the run has been better with Dean than it was with Campbell. And listen, I like Campbell. It sucks to me that you drafted this guy in the first round, and we kept talking about it. How are you going to get this guy out the field? Because many people didn't think that Dean was going to be able to come back and make the impact, that coming off that injury. Dean's been the better player. I hate to say it, man.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying take the majority of the snaps away from Dean. I'm just saying get him involved.
By the way,
in
7 games, Dean has 3 sacks, a forced fumble, 38 tackles. He broke up a pass. I mean, his numbers.
I'm not saying take away the majority of the snaps. I'm saying get him
I know you're not saying that.
somehow.
I'm saying putting him in for 10 to 12 plays. Is that really changing the game?
You never know. You never know, Mike. That's what I'm saying. We're not seeing it.
Okay. I don't know if it will. My point is he's not a better player than Dean right now. So putting him in for 10 plays, okay, I'm fine with that. My point is that's not changing the complexion of the game. If you want him to go play 10 plays, I'm not fighting you on that. But it's not making an impact that is necessary for them to win the game.
I think it would make a difference on the defensive side of the ball if you maybe just put different looks out there, added them into the mix. That's all I'm saying. 0.0 is like a lot. That's nothing. Like that's a steep drop off to not even have him involved in the defense.
I agree.
Whatsoever.
I'm agreeing with all of that. I don't think he makes any different impact in the game that they lost against the Bears. 0.0. Now, the week before, he played minimal snaps as well. I saw no impact.
Very minimal, and that's the problem.
But he played. But the point is, he did play the week before, and there was no impact from him.
I want to see him make.
Yeah, you just want to see the first round pick play. I get it. People like to see the draft picks play. I totally understand. My point is this: I have no problem with him getting more snaps. I have no problem with him getting a couple token snaps. But he will make no difference in the result of the game is my point. Whereas on offense, if you're going to sprinkle in a guy like Bigsby, that could change the game a little bit. The Campbell stuff, we wasted everybody's time. That's not changing anything. That was a complete waste of time.
No, it did.
Bigsby,
There are plenty of people upset about him getting 0.0%.
Because people want to see the first-round pick play. I get it. I understand it.
Why not?
I agree. Why not? The guy was drafted in the first round. He was playing well. The point is, you could switch Dean and Campbell, and the result will be the same. They're the same result. Not one guy here and the other guy there. They're both right here together. They're the same. So if you switch them and play him 90% of the snaps and Dean 10%, same result. Bigsby, on the other hand, while I'm not sitting here saying he should be the bell cow starter,
no,
I think their offense is struggling so much so that just showing a different look every so often, 5 touches here, 7 touches this game, just to give the defense, they got a different guy in there. They might do something different. That is an impact. The other guy is a waste of time.
Not a waste of time. But I will get to the Bigsby thing. Here's this. All right, he's averaging 9.1 yards per carry. He's only rushed 18 times this year. Why would you trade for him? Why? They don't use him. He gave you energy. He gives you a burst on offense. I can't understand why they're not utilizing different looks. And this goes back to the whole coaching thing with Patullo and Sirianni not being creative enough. I mean, you have another guy who took over for A.J. Dillon, who was awful. Cheap Seats Pete's favorite player on the Philadelphia Eagles, and A.J. Dillon sitting on the bench every single week. Tank Bigsby can give you something, Mike. He can give you something. Why they're not utilizing him in the pass game? Something. Get him involved because he runs hard and he can give you that extra burst and effort and energy out there.
The one problem with Bigsby is he has some fumbling problems. The Eagles do not want to turn the ball over. So I do think that is a legitimate reason to say, hey, listen, that's why he was available to begin with, was he had fumbling issues. Now, that being said, I certainly think that, listen, if we're at the point where we're talking about Tank Bigsby saving your offense, you got problems. He should have a role. Yes. I said it before. He should have a role. Shipley should have a role. Why? Because Barkley is not getting the job done through no fault of his own. So what you need to do is now show the defense different looks. Hey, Shipley's in the game. They might throw and then run him on a little inside trap. Hey, Bigsby's in the game. They might run this. You've got to show different looks. Every time Barkley's in the game, the defense is saying, Barkley's in the game, we're keying on him. When those other guys are in the game, they're not as inclined to key on those guys. So as much as Barkley, and I told people I did not agree with signing him to that extension, but because you paid him that money, do you feel inclined that you have to keep playing him?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. It's just like the different looks. Be creative. You don't have to even get him involved. Like, fake a pass to him, fake a scratch, something. Like, just get the guy involved. He's giving you a spark here and there. Use him in different situations that help spark the offense. Something. Why trade for the guy if you're not even going to use him? Special package.
Well, I think a little bit of that was for him to be a part of the kick returning, and it didn't happen. They were struggling at that. So you asked the question, why even trade for him? There's your answer.
I know, but they're not even using him there. So it's like,
well, because he couldn't hold on to the ball. He fumbled the ball. So you're talking about, I told you why they don't trust the guy. That's why Jacksonville got rid of him. They didn't trust him.
That's the problem with the Eagles. They're so worried and playing so scared, and the whole mentality is playing scared this year. It's hurting him this time around. Not in the past. They're being more efficient. I mean, he's been efficient.
Well, you asked the question. Your question was, they stopped using him in the return game, and the I explained it's because he kept fumbling.
That's a little different than running the football. It's a little bit different than using.
But his history has
game.
been he has been a fumbler. So if you put him out there to return kicks and he's fumbling, would you not then say, "Listen,
like Campbell,
we only got you because you fumbled a lot"?
Like Campbell, right? Just use the guys. Find a way to get them involved. Be creative. Something. Just get the guys involved. There's talent there on both of them. I'm not saying use them 100% of the snaps. I'm saying get them involved.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing. You asked the question, why have they not used him when they traded for him? I explained it to you. They used him for a kickoff return. He kept fumbling, so they got him off the field because of the fumbles. His problem in Jacksonville was he fumbled. That's why they haven't been using him.
But when he's been with the Eagles, 9.1 yards per carry on the 18.
Yeah, we went over this earlier, though. These are all garbage time, carries when the team's not focusing on you. Listen, I have no problem with Bigsby. I've said it all week. Just get a different look. I don't care if it's Dillon, Bigsby, Shipley. Everyone's fixing on Bigsby because he has 9-1 carries. That's because the defense doesn't give two rats' asses that he's out there. But you got to show them something different. I don't care what the guy's nameplate says. If you want to put a different back just to change it up, I have zero issue with that.
We're in agreement. I think we mostly agree with the one nugget we got to today.
I'm not one of these guys that gets so figured. He got 9.1 yards a carry. No one's paying attention to Tank Bigsby when he comes in the game. He got 9 carries against the Giants who stink out loud.
The whole thing is to create a spark on offense. I am not saying that you have to give the guy 20 carries. I'm saying
no. I never said you did say that. I never said, why would you want to give this guy 20 carries? I said 5. That's the number I said.
Right.
5. So I'm not saying, I said, I don't care who you give those 5 carries to. They could be, you're fixated on it has to be Bigsby. I said, I don't care if it's Bigsby, Shipley, Dillon. If you want to go sign a running back off the street and bring him in here, just somebody different. That's all.
We're in agreement. Look, we got through one nugget. We talked about Slay. Maybe they bring back Slay. We're going to sing Kumbaya at the end of this nugget today, all right?
Maybe. I mean, I'm mostly agreeing. I just, the Dean thing.
Worked up today.
I'm okay.
I got you a little worked up today. It's all right.
I'm more worked up about I had to get new Wi-Fi. I had to go get all this stuff at my house. The Wi-Fi is not working. You got to change all the damn passwords. You got to connect them all. Then you think you've connected them all.
Jahad Campbell to play more. So essentially you do.
I like Jahad Campbell and would like to see him play more. My point is this. It makes no effect on the outcome of the game if he plays more. Now, would I like to see him get more of an opportunity? Sure. I like to see the first-round pick out there contributing. Unfortunately, he's got a guy in front of him who plays just as well, if not better. So while I would like Campbell to play, I see no difference in the outcome of a game if he does. That's the part that stinks.
And you want to make sure Nakobe Dean can get through a season, too. Remember, he's had injury problems.
I could jive with keeping him fresh and hoping that's the case. But remember, he missed half the season to begin with. That point is kind of ruled out.
Yeah, but he's got the injury problems like the Sixers. By the way, there's so many guys out questionable tonight for the Sixers, Wizards. Who knows? I'll be watching Hard Knocks and the Sixers. Phone is the Sixers, Hard Knocks on the big TV.
And we're going to talk Sixers with Paul Hudrick at 5:30 tonight with all the latest. Stick around. All right, 5 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, driving you home on a miserable day. It has been raining, pouring all day long down the shore. Casey Joyner, though, is going to warm things up with us for one thought every game as we look back at how everything was affected by this week's games. We just did who's in, who's out earlier, Casey Joyner, and it is hard to find which 14 teams are going to make the playoffs, but we're going to take a look back at what all these games meant for the playoff picture with one thought every game. Plus, we'll take a look back to Black Friday's loss against the Chicago Bears, the 1 seed Chicago Bears. Casey Joyner from The Athletic is back with us right here on the Sports Bash. How are you, my friend?
Great. It was a fun weekend, except for that Friday loss. That was kind of a bummer.
All right, when you say that Friday loss was a bummer, what did you take away from that game? Is there anything from that game that you look at and say, this is a real concern?
If you face a play caller like Ben Johnson, Johnson does a good job. There's only a few things you could do to stop the running game. There's a few core concepts that teams use to stop the running game. And if you've got a really good offensive coordinator like Johnson, you can neutralize all those things, and he did. And it's trouble because if you can't beat these things schematically, you just got to beat them straight up blocking. That's really hard to do on a consistent basis. So I'm looking at the Eagles defense going, Fangio's really good about a lot of crazy coverages and stuff. It's hard to throw on. But now if you establish that, hey, you can't stop the run, coaches will tell you, if you can't stop the run, that is a big problem, and teams will keep going after it. I think the Eagles are going to see a ton of run game stuff from here on out.
So teams can run the ball on this team. We were just debating beforehand. Nakobe Dean is back, and the run numbers were better with Dean. Jahad Campbell got no snaps. Is this a linebacker problem? Is this a defensive front problem?
It's a tackling problem for one. Some of the tackling was not so good. And again, once you keep running the ball with the team and they have to tackle again and again and again, it's an issue. Plus, the Bears have two quality backs, so they just rotate guys in, and it's good to keep. It can wear a team down that way. I don't think it's either, because if you're trying to one gap and you're trying to just go up and defeat blocks like they used to do, and we used to do a bunch of years ago, if you're trying to do that, that's one way to go about it. Most teams don't do that. You're trying to do things like you're trying to send players in different directions. You're trying to control the ground game more, kind of like I've been talking about what the teams are doing to Saquon this year. And I think with the Bears, they're like, look, whatever the Eagles were doing, they were just saying, okay, we're going to find ways to neutralize whatever it is that you're doing. We're going to beat you schematically. And if they're going to beat you schematically, the only way you can beat that is just bring guys down and win with numbers, and you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. But I have a feeling that the Eagles are going to have to start playing a lot of cover 3 and bring that safety down to get the numbers, because if they don't do that, they're going to get stopped in the run game. But if you start going cover 1 or cover 3 all the time, that's a problem. You can throw underneath. There's a lot of things you could do, and you make your defense a lot more predictable.
Bears finished with 183 yards before contact. I mean, that number, you wonder, did they just get completely out-physicaled up front?
They partly got out-physicaled up front. And again, are you trying to defeat blocks, or are you trying to occupy blockers? It's kind of a big part of the difference there. And if you're trying to occupy blockers, then that means you got to, somebody's got to come free if you do that. And they weren't doing that. Because that's the thing. The Bears were running so many things. Like a lot of times when it comes to different types of zone plays, you're trying to control the backside player. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. There's about 6, 7, 8 different methods you could do. They were doing them all and varying them up to such a degree. You just felt bad for the backside player. He can't contribute to the play because the Bears are doing such a good job at holding him in place. Once that happens, it kind of breaks down your whole run defense. So Fangio, when you look at Fangio's playbooks, there's so many things where they're so good at stopping the pass. And again, they're on the run, they just like, okay, we're going to do structurally things. We're going to do some certain things to help. And you're not going to face Ben Johnson's play calling every week, but other teams can mimic what they do. So they're going to have to find a way. I think it's going to be a lot of one-gapping, a lot of things of that nature, because I don't think it was just physically being beat. I think it was we're playing certain things structurally, and the Bears are just beating us play calling-wise.
Yeah, and look, they gave up 473 yards to the Cowboys, 425 yards to Chicago. So teams are starting to figure out ways to approach Philadelphia. Now, some people wonder, look, hey, they're on the field for 80-some plays, bend, don't break. So how much does that factor? This isn't much of a personnel problem. It's, hey, you got to get the offense needs to get the longer drives going. We'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah, they do. Because that's the thing. The Eagles, when you look at them earlier on, okay, because that's the thing. coaches will stick with the ground game. Like, why do you always go with the run? Because on runs 1 to 10, you're not going to wear the defense down. On 11 to 20 and 20 to 30, you're going to wear the defense down. And you could see by the end of the game, the Eagles were out. I don't hold the Eagles defense to account for that entirely because, like you said, if the offense can't keep the ball and you got to face that many running plays, you got to do that. You run out of play calling tricks to do for one, and for two, if you just got to start to go straight up and things, and you're taking your 25th run, yeah, you're going to have those problems. So the offense does have to protect the defense because you can only ask them to do so much, especially when they're facing a ground attack like that.
All right, Casey Joyner from The Athletic. One thought every game coming up in just a second. Let's look at the offense and their problems.
Oh.
How much time do we have, right? Jalen Hurts, his struggles against the blitz, that was apparent, missing guys. How much is his struggles how big of a part of the problem is his struggles in what the offense is right now? Because I'll tell you this, I mean, I'm sure you've seen by now, the offensive coordinator is getting his house vandalized. I mean, people want this guy fired. They think he's the problem. So is it a play caller, play design? Is it the quarterback not executing? Where do we start?
I do start with the play caller. I kept looking at this game thinking, if Ben Johnson was calling this offense, that the Eagles' offense would be a whole lot better. A lot of the creative things they do. I'm not saying the Eagles don't do creative things, but when you really start to dive down into, like, if you get into the nuts and bolts of what offenses are trying to do in the ground game and such, you're just not seeing the Eagles do the same level of creative things. And the Eagles the Eagles keep playing percentage football. And there's nothing wrong with playing percentage football in the sense that we have a certain set of things we're going to do, and if we do X, Y, and Z, we don't get turnovers, we get X amount of yards on offense, we get turnovers on defense. He just thinks, hey, we're going to win 8 out of 10. That's great. And then you face a Bears team that says, well, we could do the same thing you can do, but we're also going to be able to maybe get a pick, and we're going to do things better than you. And we're going to suddenly, they're going to play percentage football, but they also add these other elements. And the Eagles just don't have those other elements. I mean, mind you, vertical passing, Jalen Hurts is 7 of 14 for $149, 10.6 yards per attempt at a touchdown. It's not bad, but he also had the pick, and you're not running the ball well enough to where you're going to get maximum value out of that passing game. So you can't just have one or the other.
Let's look at, you said on Thursday when we did One Thought Every Game, like, if you can't run the ball against the Bears, they were on like their 9th, 10th, and 11th linebacker. They didn't have a lot of success on the ground. What does it say about their run game?
It says that, again, the Eagles' run game is... The Bears' run game is built in a way to where if you can get the defense in the run game, if you can get them to make a mistake, if you get somebody to be where they're not supposed to be, it's just like in coverage. It doesn't come up nearly as often, but if you can get somebody to be where they're not supposed to be and be out of position, suddenly you're going to get some big runs. And the Bears' offense is built to make defenses make those mistakes and make those calls. The Eagles' offense is built in such a way to where they're still going to do some creative things, but not nearly as many things. And their thing is, look, we're just going to stick with the ground game more than anybody else. We're going to keep pounding on you. We've got talented blockers, we've got talented runner, and we're going to do 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards in a cloud of dust. Last year, they were able to get that with some of the breakaways because they had Kellen Moore's play calling. This year, they don't have that sort of play calling. So the system still works, but you don't get the breakaway plays. And again, it's kind of a plan B. If you're not getting breakaway plays and you're not getting enough plays in the passing game, what do? They got some plays in the passing game, but they don't get breakaway plays. And if you do that, you're taking away what Saquon Barkley could be. So I'd love to see more creativity in the ground game.
Is this an offensive line issue? I mean, when you look at their run problems, how much is it offensive line related?
I think you're relying too much on the offensive line to get things done. It's obviously they're extremely important, and you got to get guys blocked and such. But like if you're running certain types of zone plays, that the defense is going to do certain things to stop it. And honestly, it can come down to It doesn't come down to how well you're doing blocking. It's how well you can get the defense to be out of position, or how well you can read where they are and go hit your play and things. And so I don't think it's a matter of blocking, because I'm grading the blocking. I'm not seeing there's a lot of blocking issues. It's more of, the Eagles are basically saying we're going to accept getting 4 or 5 yards on a play. You're going to let us get that. That's what we're going to get. They're not trying to play call for bigger things. I
think they'd be happy with 4 and 5 yards of play at this pace.
But conceptually speaking, when you look at it, you go, that play's not designed to try to get a player out of position. That player's designed to say, okay, the defense is going to play this particular way. We're going to run it. If we break a tackle, we go somewhere. But otherwise, we're not going to do it. There is some blocking problems, but I'm looking at it more. It is structural. It's just not a creative enough offense.
All right. Well, do you see any reason that this thing can materialize and change, or is this what they are?
Offensively, I think this is what they are. To try and make a big change through the season, hey, look, you're you're 8-2 a couple weeks ago, so it's not like and so you're doing a really good job up until the last couple weeks, and mind you, Chicago's a really, really good team. But the thing is, look at it, it's like, hey, we've got the Chargers.
Not a
really
good defense, though.
No. But the Chargers are a tough team. The Commanders, they got the Raiders and the Commanders in 3 of the next 5. So okay, those, let's say you get wins there, you still got to win at Buffalo and at the Chargers. And if you don't, then you're 11-6. That's good, but that, I'm not thinking Super Bowl caliber for this team. But no, this isn't an offense. Like if you get in the playoffs, and that's the thing, can the Eagles? I say the Eagles. You don't want to get into scoreboard shootouts in the playoffs, but can you win if you get in one? I'm looking at this Eagles offense, going, you can't.
No, I listen, this offense right now, I mean, a couple of years ago, 2023, it was like, well, they got the Cardinals coming up. The Cardinals waxed them. I mean, they couldn't get a stop in that game, and that was all defense. Their defense just stunk that year, and it just completely imploded. Right now, it's not that, okay, the defense might give up 20. I don't know, this offense can score 21. I mean, it's that bad. This offense is that bad to watch. It's terrible. But we'll talk more about Eagles-Chargers on Thursday for One Thought Every Game. Let's look at all the games and what they meant to the playoff picture. One Thought Every Game. Let's go back to Thanksgiving, where the Cowboys won their 3rd straight. They beat the Chiefs, who fell to 6-6. Dak Prescott, over 300 yards, 320 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. I mean, all of a sudden, Dallas is on your heels, and the Chiefs look like they're on the outside looking in.
They do, and the Chiefs' defense, they're terrible at covering tight ends right now. Like some of the worst metrics there, and their defense keeps getting their mediocre metrics, in some cases bad. They're not really great metrics in anything. And you go, wow, that used to be the thing where their offense could be really good and the defense would be great. That's kind of been their formula the last couple of years. Cowboys, though, got to give them credit. Hey, Lamb and Pickens, and Ferguson's doing nothing because they didn't have to, because Lamb and Pickens are doing so well. And as long as Lamb and Pickens stay healthy, the Cowboys are a real danger.
All right, One Thought Every Game. You had the battle in the NFC North for those two teams. It was Green Bay getting the better of the Lions. Are the Lions out of gas here? Jordan Love matches career high, 4 touchdowns in the game. They 8-3-1, 7-5 now for the Lions. It almost feels like they have hit the wall.
I don't know if something in the water up there. I grew up in Michigan and things, and I don't think that might be the case. But they get injured all the time. They got more injuries this week. They got lost a safety. Just every single week it seems like. Even when they bring Ragnow back, he just suddenly gets a hamstring and he's out. I don't know what the heck it is up there. The Lions need somebody seriously to try. Get 2 years in a row. It's like, are you not conditioning your players? Don't know what it is, but they got to fix that, because you can't have this many injuries. And the Packers are not a great team, but boy, they're well coached. They're well coached, and they're a very good team. It's a team where they kind of remind me of like the 1980 Raiders. You don't look at them as a Super Bowl team, but then they go, hey, if they get on a little 3-game run, they could get there, and they're capable of doing it.
One Thought Every Game. Let's go to the late game. Burrow returns. They take advantage of 5 turnovers, and the Bengals keep their season afloat a little bit here. We're tied at the top of the North.
And they did it without Higgins. They hopefully get him back this week. So you're going to have Chase and Higgins and Burrow. And they've got there's some other players around them too. So that's good. And Baltimore's still got a really good defense. But Lamar Jackson, it's just every week he adds another injury too. It's like, wow, this is an injury problem. So I think you look at it in the report, it's like he gets this injury, that injury. They keep acting like, oh, it's no problem. It's like, I think it's a problem. They're just trying to downplay it, that he's really banged up. So, and if he's banged up, that changes the whole dynamic of Baltimore. But Cincinnati, hey, they honestly, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but if Burrow and Chase and Higgins get on a roll, given their schedule, they still get a shot at the AFC North.
They did this last year, too. They won like 5 straight and came up a little bit short.
Yep.
Bills 26, Steelers 7. Steelers got problems. They released Darius Slay today, but the Bills ran for like 250 yards in that particular game. So the Bills, they stay in reach of the Patriots. Steelers, they're in some trouble.
They are, and Slay had good numbers earlier this year too. By the way, had solid numbers. I mean, you wouldn't think, well, they're going to cut the guy and things. So, and I mean, Rodgers is banged up. The Steelers got some serious issues. I think this could be Tomlin's first losing season. It's that close. That's why they're chanting that. Yeah, but the Bills, they can run this much. Hey, this is not a Josh Allen passing team. They can run for 250. That's who they are. Rush and play defense, and that can win you the Super Bowl this year.
One Thought Every Game. This was maybe the game of the day. Panthers beat the Rams. The Rams were the 1 seed. They fall to 2. The Bears go to 1, and the Panthers keep their wild card dreams alive. What a inspiring win by Carolina.
There's not a Dave Canales Coach of the Year. Yeah, if I'm voting right now, with PFWA vote at the end of the year, if I'm voting today, I'm voting for him, because he's getting they're not that talented of a team. I'm not knocking them. I mean that as an honest assessment. They're solid, but they're not really good. But they keep getting stuff like this. And the Rams were the best team in the league, I thought, coming into Week 13. And the Panthers beat them handily and did it in a variety of ways. Again, really creative coaching makes a difference. And the Rams had it, but the Panthers did too. And like I said, Panthers can upset anybody, and they're having any given Sunday team.
What thought every game? Texans, they win. Now all of a sudden, that South is upside down. Daniel Jones with that broken fibula, that was a factor in the game. He could not move, and the Texans, Jaguars, they're all alive.
Yeah, if you take away Indy's movement, it's a tough thing for him. He's not terrible in the passing game, but they don't have enough people around him to get that well. And if you don't have the passing game, you could do what you did to Taylor, which is, hey, he still gets 85 yards up, but it takes 21 carries to get there, 4 yards a carry, no breakaway runs, really. Only longest run was 12 yards. If you get that out of JT, you can win. And the Texans, hey, look, they've got a lot of talent in the receiving core. They've got a good running core, and Stroud is back, and Stroud gives them an upside to Evander Mills. Yeah, I think they could win that division.
One thought every game, Niners take care of business. They don't blitz. They just kind of win this game and get out of there with their 9th win of the year.
They do. And it's a great testament to them. Game you're supposed to win, game that you need, but game that you could overlook because it's how bad the team is. They did that, and Purdy's looking solid. He could play even better. They need a little better passing attack and things. And McCaffrey only gets 53 yards, and you still get that done. Yeah, it's them taking care of business and showing this. They're a team that plays to its talent level and plays professionally that well. It's a big kudo to Shanahan.
One thought every game, Bucks 20, Cardinals 17. Bucks are holding off the Panthers. They needed this one. Starting to get a little healthier.
They are, and the Cardinals, hey, they've been a terrible team. Look at their metrics. It's like they've been awful. And for them to go out there, it says something for Gannon. He does get his team to play hard. And Brissett, wow, comeback player of the year. I guess you can make him. He's playing that well. But look at the Bucks now. They got Irving back. They gave Tucker a couple carries, and he dominated at Buffalo a couple weeks ago. They got Godwin coming back. I mean, they're getting healthy. If they get fully healthy, Tampa is a team to be reckoned with.
All right, one thought every game. This was pathetic. Max Brosmer, woo. He had a rough day at the office, and it was the Seahawks who get their 9th win of the season, shutting out the Vikings. 2 catches for 4 yards for Justin Jefferson.
I wrote an article for The Athletic this week. He'll have a better week because it's a much better matchup. The NFC teams do not want Seattle to get home field. What they did here, they are right now the best team in the league. Hands down, they are the best team in the league. They are playing exceptional in all areas of the game. And if they get home field in the playoffs, they can do this to any. I'm not saying they're going to shut teams out, but they can play that kind of dominant football all through the playoffs. They could easily make a Super Bowl run. I mean, right now the NFC should be praying that Seahawks don't get the 1 seed.
One thought every game. Chargers 31, Raiders 14. Are the Chargers back on track, or is it just the Raiders?
Chargers are back on track, and partly Vidal played well, and now they're going to get Hampton back this week. I hope. It's like every week, and fantasy managers just driving it out of their minds that he keeps spitting out. But you're doing that well. Herbert's hurt. That's the only variable there. Herbert's hand, he's hurt, but he's still hurt. 15 to 20 for 151, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. He played effectively, and they got a really good ground game. And if they get Hampton back, you can have backup offensive linemen, and you can still run the ball pretty well if you play your cards right. That's the thing the Chargers are going to do. I'm like a Super Bowl team, but they're going to make the playoffs.
One thought every game. Let's go to Jacksonville. Dominates. They're in first place.
Tennessee's got to be the most boring team in the league. They didn't have a single player in fantasy football posted even 10 points in a PPR environment. I mean, that's terrible. Like 8.5 was the high. They're dismal. They're pathetic. But again, Jacksonville, it's a division game, and sometimes, we've talked about before, it's tough to go into Tennessee and play well sometimes. People don't take them as seriously as they should. Jacksonville did. Cohen's doing a fantastic job. If another coach wanted to vote for a coach of the year, I could say Cohen too, because Jacksonville, he's getting the most out of that talent, and he showed that on Sunday.
One thought every game, Jets and Falcons. This one doesn't really help either one of these two teams. The Jets have been playing better, though.
They have. They've played pretty good defense, and Taylor's playing well and things. If you're the Jets, you kind of almost. You never want to tell the players you want a loss in any sport, especially in football and things. But boy, the Jets would have been helped out by losing the draft and things. But the Falcons are the real story here in my mind, because the Falcons, you've got a lot more talent than this. And I know Cousins isn't a great quarterback, but you've got Robinson, Robinson might be the most talented player in the league, and you're 4-8. That's really pathetic.
One thought every game. Dolphins, Saints. Dolphins have all of a sudden crawled back into the wild card mix.
They have, and they're doing it on defense. They're playing really well. In fact, there's that clip that's going around where that defensive player, the headsets weren't working, and the defensive player had to make his own call, and he had to tell Minka Fitzpatrick where to go. Say, hey, on the 2-point play, hey, here's where you go on a really important 2-point play. The 2-point play that's going to decide the game, and the headphones were working, and he put Fitzpatrick in the right place. So Fitzpatrick not only makes the pick, he gets 2 points to help clinch the win. So. Well-coached team and playing a lot better defensively, and if they could get their offense in bigger gear, they can spoil some people's seasons.
One thought every game. Monday night, it's the AFC leading Patriots' 10th straight win. This was kind of a dominating game. Giants couldn't get out of their own way.
They couldn't. The most entertaining part of that game was watching Danny DeVito on the Manning cast. It was he was about as funny as you would expect. They kept him on for like an entire quarter, which they never do. But the Giants have been doing it with it was smoke and mirrors, and you can only do that for so long. And the Patriots showed. No team has a better sense of its identity than the Patriots right now. They know exactly what they want to be. They know exactly the kind of thing they want to do with their team. They know exactly what kind of football they want to play, and they're doing it. And the thing is, if you've got that sort of identity, 11-2, and you might be the 1 seed, people are going to go to New England, you're going to have to beat them at their game. They could return to the Super Bowl. It could be first post-Brady, post-Belichick Super Bowl for the Patriots.
All right. There you go. One thought every game's back on Thursday with another interesting slate of games. Just a good weekend as well. The Eagles will take on the Chargers on Monday Night Football. And, of course, you can listen to that game right here on 97.3 ESPN. But a lot of separation Sunday type of games in the wild card. By the way, Thursday night, Detroit and Dallas, pretty much an elimination game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think even in the NFC where you've got, it seems like you have a better chance. Yeah, I think it is. You have to win every game from then on out if you don't win that game, and plus you're losing a conference game too, which is a big tiebreaker.
All right, there we go. We'll do it again on Thursday right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Make sure you check out all the KC Joyner stuff over at The Athletic, at KC Joyner, TFS on the Twitter X platform. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, KC Joyner, everybody, here on the Sports Bash Live. And he, of course, is brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. It's Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Latest on Joel Embiid and the Sixers. We'll see what's going on with him. Will he play tonight? Will they pull a fast one on us and have him out there? We should have all the updates from Paul Hudrick from Liberty Ballers. He's going to join us next on the Sports Bash. At 5:30 tonight, Sixers basketball on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers taking on the Wizards. Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers. There he is. He looks like he's in the Xfinity Mobile underbelly right now with some updates on what's happening, because I asked that, Paul Hudrick, as you know, the other night we had a surprise change in the Sixers status updates. Do we have any surprise changes in the status updates tonight?
No, I mean, as of this afternoon, Quentin Grimes was downgraded to questionable, but other than that, we don't know. Nick Nurse spoke just now, and he said that, Quentin Grimes, Andre Drummond, still questionable for tonight, so we'll see. So no, Joel Embiid still definitively is out tonight.
All right, so they didn't pull a fast one on us this time with Joel. He is not playing tonight.
Correct.
All right, so what should we think about that? I mean, the fact that he played 30 minutes, looked, somewhat competent offensively. We can talk about his defense and rebounding. What do you make of this? Is it extra cautious, or do we look a little deeper into why is he not able to play?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Mike, when you look back to when he was playing regularly to start the season, they were still making sure he kind of had 2 days off between each game. So against the Wizards team, who is, one, not actively trying to win basketball games, and two, if you look at their injury report coming off a back-to-back, half their team is out. It seems like a good opportunity to give Joel Embiid, as you mentioned, played 30 minutes the other night. Hasn't even come close to that so far this season. So I think this was a good opportunity to give him an extra day. He'll be ready for Thursday. So I, as of right now, I would not look any deeper into it, because I think this matches the pattern that we've seen so far to start the season.
So you would actually say you're more encouraged by the fact that he played 30. Forget the fact that he's not playing tonight. And if he does happen to play on Thursday or Friday, they do have a back-to-back, and then can somehow get to Sunday, like this is trending in a good direction?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm certainly not discouraged that he's not playing tonight. Like I said, it seems to have been the plan all along to give him the 2 extra days. This Wizards team, I mean, the Sixers could rest half the roster, and they should be able to beat this Wizards team tonight. So I think it is. I think it is really precautionary. I would say, to your point, though, if he pops up Thursday as doubtful or questionable or out, then maybe you're asking some questions.
All right, Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers, is at Xfinity Mobile getting ready for the Sixers tonight. Yes, they play the Wizards, a terrible opponent. What do you think of Embiid when he's playing? Is this what you're getting?
Well, no, I mean, if you're talking about the other night, if that's what you think they're getting, I would say no, because, and he even alluded to it after the game, the previous 2 games before that, he actually looked pretty good. We talk about the defense. Yeah, for the first few games he played, the defense was way behind the offense. This is a guy who, at his peak, was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, one of the premier rim protectors in the NBA. We had not seen that, even a semblance of that through his first few games. But I thought against Chicago, against Boston, I thought you saw him taking some more chances, going after some more shots at the rim, contesting more shots. So, and you didn't see that, quite frankly, against Atlanta. So I would say, I'm not going to sit here and put out some pom-poms and say, yes, super optimistic. He'll be great. He'll be back to that guy. But at the same time, I don't think it makes sense to go in the other direction either. I don't think anyone has the answer. I don't think Joel Embiid has the answer to how he thinks he's going to look, whatever, a week from now, a month from now. And I think we're all just kind of in the same boat of just kind of riding this wave.
Because offensively, what do you think he's adding, not just for himself, but for Maxey and the others? I mean, it appears that having him out there offensively helps the offense.
Well, it's gravity, Mike. I mean, when he is out there, the opponent has to respect him, especially, a team like Atlanta that doesn't boast a big, true center. I mean, Okongwu's really good, but he's not that guy who, he's like 6'8", 240, whatever he is, and, he's not going to be able to bang around with a 7 foot, 280-pound Joel Embiid. It's such a long season, and I think there's still so much more we have to see. He's got to get a combination of him feeling good in the knees, a combination of him feeling good fitness-wise, and in rhythm, and then But I think to your point, the gravity on offense alone just opens up so much. Of course, it opens up so much for Tyrese Maxey in that 2-man game. And then just the rest of the guys are just going to get these wide open looks. And quite frankly, they didn't really cash in. They didn't shoot the ball well against Atlanta, but they had a lot of really good looks. And Joel Embiid was a big part of those looks being there.
Yeah, I guess big picture, they don't want to play like back-to-backs, obviously. They like 2 days. Is this in anticipation of hoping that in the playoffs he could play every other night?
Yeah, I got to be honest, Mike. Like, I don't even think they're thinking that far ahead. Because look, last year that's how they thought, right? They thought, oh, let's just get to the playoffs, get them to the playoffs healthy, and that's what we need to do. But then last year they learned, well, no, you got to make the playoffs first. You got to put yourself in a good position to be ready for the playoffs. So I don't think they're even thinking that way. I think they're really just thinking like, okay, today, like the kind of stuff I've already mentioned, like they're playing an opponent that's not trying to win games, who is missing a lot of players. So what's the point of Joel kind of playing tonight when you can give him that extra day, and play him against some stiffer competition when you really kind of need him. And again, like we talked about, he played 30 minutes. That was the highest he played. So I don't think they're even there with thinking about playoffs or next month or again next week. I think they're literally worried about what does it look like today and what do we have to do to get him to the next game healthy.
Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers. Paul George, what is he? What kind of fit is he? We've seen him a handful. I don't know if there's a big enough sample size, but are you encouraged? Is it more to grow on here? What is your take on what we've seen in the little bits and pieces of Paul George? Is he playing tonight?
He's still questionable. He is a game time decision. But, yeah, I'm mostly encouraged by what I've seen. I mean, so the end of the Atlanta game, I mean, he came up with, like, so many crucial defensive plays. And that's the thing. Like, even last year, as he struggled with health, offensive inconsistency, the shot wasn't falling, the defense was there last year. If you look at some of his defensive metrics, they were still some of the highest in the NBA for a forward. So, and I think we've seen that. His experience, his savviness, he's almost like a quarterback for them defensively. So I think when he's out there, it makes the whole team better defensively. And then offensively, I think he's still got plenty there too. Like he's able to create shots. He's a pretty good passer. Again, the other night he didn't make shots, but I'm not as worried about that. Like I think with consistent playing time, with finding his rhythm, I think he'll make those shots. And so my biggest thing with Paul George is kind of the same with Joel. Like he just needs to play. And the more he plays, the more he feels good, the more rhythm and consistency he can build, and the cohesiveness he can build with the other guys on the roster, I think he's just going to be better and better.
So is the anticipation is that Paul will start to be able to shed the minutes restriction and be more of a consistent guy, or is that up in the air?
Yeah, well, so, the back now is an issue. He had back tightness, which, this is a 35-year-old guy who's dealing with some stuff and played – into overtime of a game the other night, played over 30 minutes as well. So I think, again, if he doesn't play tonight, I view it more as a sign of precaution for the back. I don't view it as, I think if it was a game against different competition or a more important game, I think he would be available. But I think this is more, again, speaking to the opponent. So, but I do think it seems to be trending in a good direction. But, I think it's similar to Joel, too, in that it's daily, man. Like, from day to day, this stuff can change.
All right, we got Embiid, never know what's going on with him. George, never know what's going on with him. They played for the first time together Sunday night. We don't know when they'll play again together. What is this season? Are they good? Are they average? Are they fun? What are we trying to get from this season now? It feels like it has shifted a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say first things first. You have right now a guy who's playing like a legitimate MVP candidate in Tyrese Maxey. And whenever you have that, you have a chance to win basketball games every single night. I think that's what we've seen. Even in games where maybe you look at it and you're like, man, they had no business being in this game or even winning some of the games they've won. It's because Tyrese has been so great. But the other thing is, too, Mike, it's not just Joel and Paul. Look at the rest. The only guys that have played, the only regulars that have played every game have been Tyrese Maxey and Quentin Grimes, who is now questionable tonight. So, they've been missing Kelly Oubre. I think they've been missing him in a big way. He's been their best perimeter defender. He was off to a terrific start to the season. Adem Bonin this time. Now you have Andre Drummond, who was playing very well. Now he's nicked up. It's been, again, that consistency, that cohesiveness until we see that. And that's not even talking about Joel and PG. That's talking about those other guys. Until we see all those other guys playing together. VJ Edgecombe now as well. Like he's still on a minutes restriction, I would assume, tonight too. You have to build that. And I think until you get those guys playing together more, it's hard to know what to make of this team. And I think right now they're 10-9. I think they are a 500 team feels right unless Joel Embiid or Paul George are healthy and playing at a high level, or someone like a VJ Edgecombe or a Jared McCain starts popping off and ascending and playing at a higher level, then maybe you're looking at a team that could be a little bit better than that.
Yeah, because it's like in the past when Embiid didn't play, they fell apart. They're at least competitive without him. So that's why you're like, can they stay afloat and then hope that he's at some point is like, okay, I think I'm ready to kind of let loose a little bit. I don't know that you're ever going to see Joel Embiid in MVP level, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and look, I think this team, if Joel Embiid and Paul George don't play another second this season, I still think this is a team that could be a playoff team, like pretty easily be a playing team and maybe be more. But it depends on, like I mentioned, like those other guys being healthy and those other guys playing at a high level. Like Oubre's got to come back and play at the level he was playing at before. When Edgecombe is back healthy again, he has to return to that level. Jared McCain has to find a little bit of that magic he had last year and play. Like if that all happens, and that's a lot of ifs, but if those things happen, this team could be very, very, could be a very good team. And then if you have those other two guys healthy, you never know what can happen after that.
You ever get tired of the ifs?
Look, I've been tired of ifs for like a decade here, man. But that's like that's all we got here. But and I would say too, like this speaks to like for me what I've been trying to tell people. I was saying it all summer, all off season. Enjoy what you got, because right now you have a guy in Tyrese Maxey playing at an all NBA level, if not an MVP caliber level. So like, just enjoy the ride a little bit with a guy like that. Like the night he had the Hawks game, he struggled so much through 3 quarters, and then that fourth quarter was overtime. I know he missed the free throws. I get it. It was frustrating, but they're not even in the game without him. He's not even in that position if he doesn't go off before that. So it's like, I understand the frustration. I understand people want to win championships, and I get all that. But at the same time, sometimes you, as a fan, you got to enjoy what's happening. And Tyrese Maxey, I think you really need to enjoy what he's doing. And VJ Edgecombe, again, when he's back healthy, this kid is really special. And it will be, like, I think, at minimum, when everyone is healthy, a fun team to watch.
Yeah, I guess I'm with you, man. I mean, I'm frustrated at the Embiid stuff every day. I mean, the fact that he was out, then he was in, and then that, and then I was just like, what is going on? You just never know when you walk into that building. And, of course, they play the Wizards tonight. They have back-to-backs Thursday, Friday. Then they play Sunday. Then they're off till Friday, that whole NBA Cup thing. So it's a weird stretch of games coming in here. Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers, everybody. Listen to the Sixers and Wizards tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, man.
You got it, Mike. Take care, man.
All right, he is at Xfinity Mobile Arena. That's why if you're watching on the video, he's got he's got a nice look to him going there. He had the sweater pulled over, the nice button-up shirt. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Paul George, Quentin Grimes, Andre Drummond, they're all game-time decisions tonight. Embiid is out. Edgecombe, I guess, is going to play, but he's on a minute restriction. You know, one question I meant to ask him before we got out is, does he sense that Nurse is frustrated? Like, is Nick Nurse like, dude, I had a pick of the litter of the jobs that I wanted. I took this job, and now this is a mess. And it is. Like, there's no way. Look, they have some Maxey's a joy. They got some pieces. Edgecombe, McCain. But that's not what he signed up for. He didn't sign up for, hey, we got fun guards and this could be fun. This could be something. He signed up to have a team that was ready to win a championship, and they are not. Because Joel can't be the player that he was. And that's a real shame. By the way, Penn Staters out there, you're going to need to find a different coach, because the BYU coach, Kalani Sitake, said, go pound sand. He informed people that he intends to stay at BYU. Can you imagine you're Penn State? You're Penn State, and the guy said, I'm going to stay at BYU.
I can imagine it, because this is not 1993. This is the world where, with the transfer portal and NIL money and all kinds of weirdness going on in the world. You don't need to go to Penn State to go to the NFL. You don't need to go to Penn State to get an NIL deal.
No, but just like, you just saw Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss. You don't need to go to LSU. He went there because he said he could not get the level of recruits to go to Ole Miss that he can get at LSU.
Right. And so, but
that's
that
the
was,
same situation for BYU versus Penn State.
Yeah, but BYU is, see, to me, I think Sataki is basically saying that he's happy at BYU. That for he doesn't have the same aspirations as Lane Kiffin is. I think Lane Kiffin, did you watch the documentary with him, the 30 for 30?
No.
He talks about in the documentary about how he has spent the last, basically decade trying to rehabilitate his image. And he's been really intent on trying to, not be the punk brat that he was when he was younger. And
well, he's not doing a good job of it.
Well, no. Well,
I thought he's come off really bad in this situation, to be honest.
He has come off bad.
I think he's come off really ignorant, pompous.
I would say smug.
All of it. I was going to say, he really thought they were going to let him coach the team. How ignorant can you be? You think they're going to let you coach the team after you said, hey, I want to leave, and can I stay so I can steal some of your players? How obtuse can you be?
Listen.
And then he's trying to blame them that they wouldn't let him go to the meeting?
Well, that was ridiculous, yeah. Listen,
he's learned nothing. That's the problem with him. He's learned nothing.
He thinks he has.
But that's my point. He thinks he has. The whole documentary you're talking about, I didn't see it, so I don't, but he's learned nothing. He got fired on the tarmac, yada, yada, yada. We know the story. He left Tennessee after one. Oh, my one regret is that I wish I could have stayed at Tennessee longer for those people. You want to just go through the rest? You want to go to Vanderbilt next? Is that your next stop? I mean, I don't know. Rub me the wrong way.
Listen, at the end of the day, the problem with college football is National Signing Day should not be December 3rd.
I saw somebody tweet about this that disagreed. They said it's the morals. The morality of the coaches is the problem, not the calendar. Did you see that?
I heard Paul Feinbaum use that argument. It was either last night or this morning. To me, it's not about morality, okay? It's about you have created a dynamic where we judge these coaches based on things that don't have morality attached to it. There is no morality attached to winning a national championship. There's no morality attached to recruitment anymore. So if you care about morality, then strip away everything. But you care about them winning. You care about them getting the all-star recruit. You care about how much money they bring into the university. So don't play morality with me because you're basically valuing the people who claim morality, the same people who will criticize the coach if he doesn't win 9 games.
There you go. Well, the college football wacky season is underway, and it looks like Solani Kataki is staying at BYU. All right, get ready to get out of here on this Tuesday night. Nasty day out today. Hopefully better tomorrow. Tomorrow's show should be a lot of fun. Mike McGarry's back. John McMullen, Q Myers, Jeff Mosher. Actually, McMullen I don't think is on tomorrow. I'm looking at last week's board because we had a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday show all wrapped into Wednesday. But Q should be back on tomorrow's show. Our Fine Five, Ugly Five, Five Best, Five Worst. Bowl season is almost here, too, by the way. This weekend, 97.3 ESPN presents Championship Weekend. We got all the championship games Friday night, Saturday, all day, and Rock 104.1 tonight. We are your home for Sixers basketball. It is Sixers and the Wizards. Listen to that coverage at 7 o'clock, right after the Best of the Sports Bash, which is up next right here on 97.3 ESPN. See you, everybody.